LoveLore Library. Chapter 484. It can't be. Go to the hotel. Yang Ming looked at Sun Jia in amazement. He didn't know how to drive the car. Yeah, if you don't go, won't you feel uncomfortable? Sun Jia said aggressively. Ugh. I didn't mean that. I was just joking. Seeing Sun Jia like this, Yang Ming was a little embarrassed. He didn't know what to do. Yang Ming, what do you want me to say to make you understand? I don't mean to look down on you. Sun Jia saw that Yang Ming's tone was a little low, so she frowned and said. I said that I was joking. Yang Ming said with some shame. Well, you continue to drive. Go back to my company. Sun Jia said. Not going to the hotel. Yang Ming was a little anxious. When Sun Jia said that they should go to the hotel, he was still a little hesitant. Now that she said that they weren't going, Yang Ming's heart suddenly became empty. You wish. Sun Jia glared at Yang Ming. I was also joking, cough cough. Yang Ming was choked by Sun Jia's words. It had always been Yang Ming who made fun of others. Now, he was playing with fire. You really don't want to go? Yang Ming asked with some unwillingness. It's true. Sun Jia said firmly. Oh. Yang Ming wasn't the kind of person who liked to use force. Sun Jia said that she wasn't going, so he couldn't say anything. However, just when Yang Ming had given up, Sun Jia spoke again. Go to the hotel. What do you want to do? Sun Jia asked suddenly. Ugh. What do you think? Yang Ming replied abruptly, not used to it. We can talk about your things, but we have to get 2 rooms. Sun Jia smiled. Then, forget it. Let's go to your company. Yang Ming sighed and continued to drive, dispelling some dirty thoughts. When they arrived at Sun Jia's company, Yang Ming wanted to park the car in the underground parking lot, but Sun Jia stopped Yang Ming. Just park it outside. Parked outside. Aren't we going to your company? Aren't you afraid of being scratched by people if you park on the side of the road? If it was a broken car, it would be fine. But this is an Audi R8. Yang Ming is afraid that something will happen to it. Yeah, I'll go up and get a material. You just wait for me here, said Sun Jia. I'm not going up. Yang Ming asked curiously. Why are you going up there? I don't need your help. Sun Jia was also a little puzzled. Just wait for me here. Didn't you want to ask me something? Not going to your company. Sun Jia's reaction made Yang Ming feel inexplicable. Just go to my house. Why are you going to the company so late? Sun Jia said with a smile, I didn't feel very comfortable eating just now. There is nothing in my stomach. I'm still very hungry. I'm anxious to go home and cook noodles. Go to your house. I'm going, too. Yang Ming listened to Sun Jia's words and couldn't help but start to fantasize again. It's a blessing in disguise. Maybe tonight is destined to be a romantic night. Looking at Sun Jia's beautiful and plump figure disappearing into the company building, Yang Ming took out his mobile phone and called Ho Jinhan. Brother Yang. Ho Jinhan picked up the phone and said succinctly, What's the matter? Big Ho, what happened to the person who just harassed Sun Jia? Although Yang Ming seemed to be flirting with Sun Jia along the way, he had been thinking about this matter in his heart. Although the distance was far, Yang Ming could read lips. Yang Ming saw what the guy just said clearly. Now that Bao Sanli and the others had just gained a foothold in Songjiang, they shouldn't provoke any powerful characters. The person was taken away by Bao Sanli's men. I haven't asked yet. Why? Is there anything wrong? Ho Jinhan seemed to notice something. Ask carefully. What does that person do? At this time, don't get into any trouble. Yang Ming instructed. Okay, I understand. Ho Jinhan said, I will call you immediately after I ask. No need. I'm outside. It's inconvenient to talk. Let me call you, said Yang Ming. Ho Jinhan was stunned and immediately understood Yang Ming's meaning. He left with Sun Jie, so he must be with Sun Jie tonight. This matter was related to Sun Jie, so it was normal to be inconvenient to talk, so he nodded and said, I got it, Brother Yang. Yang Ming hung up the phone and waited for a while. Sun Jie came down with a document. Yang Ming opened the door, and Sun Jie got in the car. Why are you still going to the company to get the document so late? Yang Ming asked casually. My father just called and asked me to get it. He is very anxious. I have to reply to him tomorrow morning, so I have to stay up all night tonight. Sun Jie said helplessly. Stay up all night. Yang Ming didn't know why, but he didn't feel very good. Stay up all night. Don't I have no chance? Yang Ming now didn't know what kind of feeling he had for Sun Jie. Do I like her? Or is it simply the feeling of conquest that men like? Yang Ming shook his head and smiled self-deprecatingly. It turns out that I rarely have such impatient thoughts. Yang Ming thought that he was a perfectionist. He didn't care much about sex without love, but since Lan Ling's voodoo. Little Ling Ling, you are killing me. Do you think it's so easy to be a strong woman? Sun Jie also smiled bitterly. If it weren't for Sun Jiwei being so disappointing, I would have quit long ago. The cruelty of the business world is really not suitable for a woman. It turned out to be like this. Isn't it easy to solve? Yang Ming looked at Sun Jie and said with a smile. How do you solve it? Sun Jie was a little angry. Yang Ming stopped halfway. Let your parents have another brother. Yang Ming said this and looked at Sun Jie's expression. Sure enough, Sun Jie opened her eyes wide. Just as she was about to get angry, Yang Ming continued, of course, this is basically impossible, so you can consider finding a boyfriend to help you. You're pissing me off. Sun Jie said after listening, aren't you talking nonsense? How is it nonsense? Isn't this giving you an idea? Yang Ming smiled. Isn't it because I don't have a boyfriend? Sun Jie said, why don't you be my boyfriend? Hey! Yang Ming was shocked and turned to look at Sun Jie. What did you say? Nothing. Look at how scared you are. Sun Jie shook her head and smiled. You see, you don't want to be my boyfriend. Who do you want me to find? For Sun Jie's words, Yang Ming could only smile bitterly. Sun Jie was such a strong woman. Yang Ming didn't dare to simply take her home as his wife. They could talk and play together. If they were to go home, which of his women could be her opponent? Your family background is good. There should be a lot of people chasing after you, right? So, Yang Ming changed the topic. He could also ask something indirectly, who was the person who sent you the flowers? I think he looks very gentle. Just now. You mean Guo Dongchuan? Sun Jie frowned. I have no feelings for people like him. What does he do? Asked Yang Ming. The son of Jiduan City's Guo Jinbiao, said Sun Jie. Who is Guo Jinbiao? Yang Ming obviously had not heard of this name. His status in Jiduan City is equivalent to Song Jiang's Bao Sanli. Sun Jie explained. For these things, Sun Jie did not hide it from Yang Ming because there was no need. These were all things on the surface. It was easy to investigate. Besides, Sun Jie didn't know why, but she didn't want to hide anything from Yang Ming. Although it seemed that she had no intersection with Yang Ming, Sun Jia still subconsciously felt that the story of her and Yang Ming would not end here. This may be a unique intuition of women. Yang Ming heard Sun Jia's words. He was stunned at first, and then a chill came to his heart. It can't be, right? Then Guo Jinbiao is the underworld boss of Jiduan City. Isn't Guo Dongchuan equivalent to the underworld prince? As a result, the feud between Bao Sanli and Guo Jinbiao was set. Yang Ming sighed. I hope that Bao Sanli can have some sense of propriety. Otherwise, if Guo Dongchuan is crippled, then it won't be good. However, for this Guo Jinbiao of Jiduan City, Yang Ming was not necessarily afraid of him. Jiduan City, although also called a city, was far worse than Songjiang. The entire area was not half the size of Songjiang. Thinking about it, Guo Jinbiao was not that ruthless. Since the feud was set, as the behind-the-scenes boss, he had to work harder to scare Guo Jinbiao. If it didn't work, he could only get rid of Guo Jinbiao. Jiduan City is too small. There is a big gap between it and Donghai. This Guo Dongchuan is quite ambitious. Knowing that someone had an idea on Sun Jia, Yang Ming's heart was not very good. Chapter 485. Sun Jia listened to Yang Ming's sour words and couldn't help but be a little proud. Why? What's wrong with you? Nothing. What can I be wrong with? I just feel that this guy is too overconfident. Yang Ming shook his head and said, Where is your home? The development zone, not far from Yang Li's home. It's in that direction. Sun Jia said. Yang Ming nodded and drove in the direction of the development zone. The people who lived here were the rich people of Songjiang, so luxury cars could be seen everywhere on the roadside. Turn left in front. Yes. It's that villa. Sun Jia pointed to an independent small courtyard. No way. So rich. Yang Ming couldn't help but be shocked. Yang Li's home was just a duplex, but Sun Jia had a single-family villa and a small courtyard. You live alone. Yang Ming stopped the car and looked at the villa in front of him. He was a little dizzy. There is also a servant, Auntie Ya. As Sun Jia spoke, she took out the phone and dialed a number. Then she said to the person on the other side, Auntie Ya, this is Sun Jia. I'm back. Help me open the door. You don't have a key yourself. Yang Ming was a bit baffled. Do you need a servant to open the door? If the servant is not at home, then can't you go back? There is a key, but it's very troublesome. If you open the door from the outside, you have to enter the password. Sun Jia said. He didn't see anyone come out. He saw the door of the villa slowly open. Yang Ming didn't feel strange. After all, it was now automated. Yang Ming started the car and slowly drove into the villa. Then he searched for a place to park. Before Sun Jia spoke, Yang Ming had already used his special ability to find the warm room behind the villa. How are you more familiar with it than me? Sun Jia was very puzzled about how Yang Ming found the warm room. Have you been here before? Damn, it's just intuition. Generally, the warm room of the villa is at the back. Yang Ming said indifferently. Although Sun Jia still had some doubts, after listening to Yang Ming, she couldn't ask again. After getting off the car with Yang Ming, Sun Jia took Yang Ming and walked into the villa. A woman in her 40s opened the door for Sun Jia. Miss, you are back. And this is... Oh, Auntie Ya, this is Yang Ming, my friend. Sun Jia gave a simple introduction. Hello, Aunt Ya. Yang Ming nodded to Aunt Ya. How do you do, young man? What would you like to drink? I'll go prepare. Aunt Ya said with a smile. That won't be too much trouble, right? There were no servants in Yang Ming's house. This was the first time he had seen a servant, so he was not used to the feeling of being served. It's no trouble. This is my job. Aunt Ye smiled faintly. So, Auntie Ye, you go and make 2 cups of coffee for us. I still have something to discuss with Yang Ming tonight. We may have to stay up all night. Sun Jia instructed. Okay, Mississippi, Aunt Ye nodded and then went to do it. It's him. Sun San was surprised. Why? Do you know him? Auntie Ming asked, baffled. I know him. How can I not know him? Sun San said, well, I know about this. Master also knows a little about it. You don't have to worry about it. Rest early. Okay, good night. Auntie Ye said faintly. But a good night was also full of a lot of friendship. And, good night. Sun San hung up the phone. Auntie Ye adjusted her mood and then began to grind the coffee beans. Yang Ming and Sun Jia were in the study. Yang Ming, when I mentioned Bao Sanli to Yang Li before, why did you pretend that you didn't know? Sun Jia was a little annoyed when she thought about it. You obviously know him. Why did you ask me to look for Yang Li again? This. Yang Ming didn't know what to say. Indeed, it seemed that he didn't do it properly. Sun Jia, actually, I didn't mean that. Then what do you mean? Sun Jia looked at Yang Ming and asked with some displeasure. Sun Jia, did you see it today? My relationship with Bao Sanli is very familiar. Yang Ming sighed and said. Yeah, I saw it. Since you are so familiar with him, why don't you help me introduce him? Sun Jia said with some resentment. Actually, things are not what you think. Yang Ming shook his head and said, it's actually easy for me to introduce you to him. This is really easy to do, but it is because I am familiar with him that I don't want to introduce you to him. When Sun Jia heard this, she couldn't help but frown, but she was smart. She quickly understood the meaning of Yang Ming, but she was still a little uncertain. You mean? Yes, you may have guessed it. Yang Ming nodded and continued, Sun Jia, you said at the time that you didn't know why your father was looking for Bao Sanli. This made me feel very uncertain. You and I know what your father does. Why is he looking for Bao Sanli? There are only 2 possibilities. One is cooperation, and the other is conflict. If you two really have a conflict, then what kind of position will I be in? Who should I help? Should I help Bao Sanli, or should I help you? Sun Jia listened to Yang Ming's words and couldn't help but be moved. Yang Ming is afraid that it will be difficult for me at that time. It seems that I misunderstood him. Yang Ming is still a good person, although she thought so in her heart. Sun Jia still said, why do you want to help me? Why? This doesn't need to be so clear, right? As Yang Ming said this, he put his hand on Sun Jia's body again. This time, Sun Jia did not stop Yang Ming. She leaned quietly on the sofa and let Yang Ming's hand do whatever he wanted to her body. Suddenly. Click. The door of the study opened, and Auntie Ye came in with 2 cups of coffee. Chapter 486. Yang Ming was stunned, Sun Jia was stunned, and Auntie Ye was also stunned. Yang Ming's hand was still on Sun Jia's body, and he forgot to take it down. However, even if he took it down, it would be a bit of a cover-up. It was better to just leave it there. Miss, where is the coffee? Auntie Ye recovered first. After all, she was a middle-aged person. She was already used to some things. Just put it on the coffee table. Sun Jia really wanted to kick Yang Ming now. However, if she hit Yang Ming's hand now, it would be useless. She simply pretended to be very natural. Okay. Auntie Ye put the coffee on the coffee table and didn't look at Sun Jia and Yang Ming. She just said, "Miss, if there is anything else, please tell me. I will go down first." As Auntie Ye spoke, she left the room. "Yang Ming, I really don't know what to say to you. When you are with me, can't you think of something else?" Sun Jia glared at Yang Ming and said helplessly. "I'm sorry. I have troubled you." This time, Yang Ming was very sincere. After all, it was his fault that brought trouble to Sun Jia. Sun Jia was happy in her heart. Yang Ming's behavior didn't bring her too much trouble. Even if Auntie Ye told her father, it didn't matter because she had already been brewing a plan. A plan that required the cooperation of Yang Ming. That was to let Yang Ming pretend to be her boyfriend and accompany her home during the Chinese New Year. If this wasn't the case, Sun Hongjun wouldn't give up. He would endlessly introduce boyfriends to her all day long. Sun Jia was annoyed to death. Therefore, in order to let her father give up, Sun Jia decided to directly bring back a boyfriend to show her father, so that her father would dispel the idea of continuing to introduce boyfriends to her. However, why look for Yang Ming? The reason was very simple. Yang Ming had pretended before, so he was familiar with it. Moreover, she and Yang Ming had a relationship. They weren't estranged from each other and weren't awkward. However, the most important thing was that Sun Jia didn't hate Yang Ming in her heart. Sigh. Sun Jia sighed and said deliberately, "I really don't know if I owed you in my previous life. Since it is already like this, what's the use of saying sorry? Think of a way to salvage the situation." Remedy. Good. Yang Ming nodded and said, "Tell me, as long as I can do it, just tell me. How can I fix it? It's not that there is no way. Since Auntie Ye has already seen it, then let's just make the best of it." As Sun Jia said this, she picked up the coffee on the table and took a sip. Then, she said, "You continue to pretend to be my boyfriend." Ah. Yang Ming was stunned. "I continue to pretend. What do you mean?" "During the Chinese New Year, come home with me as my boyfriend," said Sun Jia. "New Year. Go home." Yang Ming frowned. He was not stupid. After thinking for a while, he said, "So, you're talking about this. So, you're using me as a shield. You should at least teach me some basic knowledge, right?" "Of course. Otherwise, why do you think I brought you home?" Sun Jia glared at Yang Ming. "Who knows, maybe you miss me." Yang Ming joked. "Miss your head." Sun Jia said, "Look at the document." In fact, real estate, Sun Jia told Yang Ming this knowledge. One was to deal with her father, but to put it bluntly, Sun Hongjun wasn't very familiar with the real estate industry. It was all done by his underlings. The reason why Sun Jia did this was to let Yang Ming learn some knowledge. In her heart, she still hoped that Yang Ming's identity could be closer to her. However, this was also Sun Jia's little selfishness, and she didn't reveal it. Sun Jia was talking seriously, and Yang Ming was really listening seriously. Yang Ming's current situation was that he had money in his hands, and he really wanted to do something. Since there was such a good opportunity, he might as well learn about real estate. If possible, he could also start a business in this area. Halfway through, Auntie Ye sent 2 cups of coffee. Originally, Auntie Ye thought that these 2 young people were using the excuse of looking at the document to flirt, but Auntie Ye found that the 2 people were really engrossed. Yang Ming's ability to understand was strong, especially during this period of time. He studied the discs that Fong Tian left for himself when he had nothing to do. His ability to absorb knowledge was even stronger. Often, after Sun Jia finished talking, he could draw inferences and put forward some very insightful ideas. At first, Sun Jia was talking alone, but later, Yang Ming could add a few words. Until the sky turned white, Yang Ming could actually put forward some constructive opinions on this bidding plan. This made Sun Jia very surprised. Isn't Yang Ming's ability to accept too strong? Later, Yang Ming became more and more excited. He began to put forward some of his other views, which made Sun Jia feel inexplicably horrified. However, after all, a person's energy was limited. At 6:00 in the morning, the two people finally couldn't stand it. They fell asleep on the sofa. Fortunately, the sofa in Sun Jia's house was spacious enough. The two people lying on it didn't feel crowded, and naturally, they hugged each other. When Auntie Yif came up, she saw the two young people sleeping. She couldn't help but smile slightly and shake her head. Then, she found a quilt and covered the two of them. It seems that this young man named Yang Ming is good. He isn't the kind of person who only indulges in love and doesn't know how to make progress. He is a good match for the miss. Downstairs, Auntie Ye couldn't wait to report the situation here to Sun San. Sun San was also stunned by Yang Ming's behavior. How could this be? He had also investigated Yang Ming's background, so Sun San was very inexplicable when Yang Ming and Sun Jia discussed real estate. Are you sure that they are talking about real estate? Sun San frowned and asked. Chapter 487. And, it shouldn't be wrong. Although I don't understand, I don't think it's just for show. I observed it for a long time. The discussion between the two people was indeed very enthusiastic. It was impossible to rehearse it in advance for me to see. Besides, the young lady didn't know that I was responsible for monitoring her. Said Auntie Ya. Real estate. Sun San shook his head and said to himself inexplicably, isn't he studying computer science? How did he come up with real estate? What? Auntie Ye heard Sun San's words and asked. Nothing. Okay, I got it. You don't have to do anything on your side. Sun San instructed. And, I can't do anything. I can't interfere with the young lady's private life. Auntie Ye nodded and said. Sun San hung up the phone and couldn't help but say to himself, this Yang Ming, it seems that he isn't a simple person. He actually knows about real estate. When Yang Ming and Sun Jia woke up, it was already 8:00 in the morning, but the two people didn't sleep for long. Yang Ming woke up because he wanted to pee, and Yang Ming pushed the thing in front of him. Why is it so soft? However, with Sun Jia's moan, Yang Ming knew what he touched. However, it seems that I have been touching it when I was asleep. Yang Ming smiled, pulled back his hand and sat up. When Yang Ming moved, Sun Jia also woke up. She opened her eyes and looked at Yang Ming in a daze. What time is it? It's past 8:00, said Yang Ming. Ah. Past 8:00. Sun Jia suddenly woke up a lot and jumped up from the sofa directly. No time. I have to go to the company for a meeting. Yang Ming went into the bathroom in a daze. Just as he wanted to close the door, Sun Jia opened the bathroom door and walked in. Yang Ming unbuckled half of his belt and was shocked by Sun Jia. Although he was very familiar with Sun Jia, Yang Ming didn't have the habit of being watched, so he asked, "What are you doing?" "I'm washing my face and brushing my teeth. Otherwise, what else can I do?" Sun Jia said as she closed the bathroom door and began to wash up. "Don't you have 2 bathrooms in your house? Why don't you go downstairs?" Yang Ming felt helpless. "Why don't you go?" Sun Jia asked. "I live upstairs. Why would I go downstairs? Isn't that unnecessary? I'm about to suffocate to death. Why don't you go out first?" Yang Ming smiled bitterly. You can do whatever you want. It's not like I haven't seen it before. There are so many things. Sun Jia said indifferently, ignoring Yang Ming's awkwardness. Although the words were right, the last time they were in the bathroom, they had seen each other frankly. But now, it was different after all. Yang Ming looked at the endless wiping on his face. He really couldn't hold it anymore. He was such a big person. He couldn't possibly pee in his pants, right? There was no other way. Maybe I will have a chance to cooperate with him one day. It's not bad to show my face first. Otherwise, I'll just treat it as helping Sun Jia. Okay. Thinking of this, Yang Ming nodded. However, if I say something wrong during the meeting, don't blame me. Just like you did last night. Sun Jia said with a smile, originally, everyone is discussing together. It doesn't matter if something is wrong. We can improve it together. Last night? How was it last night? Is it like this? Yang Ming reached out and explored Sun Jia's body. If you can drive with one hand, then you can do whatever you want. Sun Jia rolled her eyes indifferently. It's automatic. It doesn't matter. Yang Ming smiled. Yang Ming said this, but he didn't do it. Instead, he focused on driving the car. Yang Ming's mental endurance was far stronger than ordinary people, so Sun Jia kept yawning, but Yang Ming was very energetic. Looking at Sun Jia like this, Yang Ming really felt that he was right to come. Letting her drive the car, Yang Ming was really a little worried. When they came to Sun Jia's company, Yang Ming parked the car in the underground parking lot and then walked into the company's elevator side by side with Sun Jia. Sun Jia's company's office building was rented with other companies, so the people in the elevator didn't know Sun Jia. It was now past the working hours, so they didn't meet Sun Jia's company employees along the way. When they came to the floor of Sun Jia's company, Yang Ming followed Sun Jia directly into the conference room. There was some commotion in the conference room, but it became much quieter after Sun Jia entered. Little Zhang, you go and sit over there. Sun Jia looked at her secretary, Little Zhang, who was next to the main seat of the meeting. Okay, manager. Little Zhang nodded, picked up the pen and paper, and sat in another position. Yang Ming, you sit next to me. Sun Jia instructed Yang Ming. Yang Ming didn't say anything. He nodded and sat in Little Zhang's original position. The people in the conference room were very puzzled. What is the origin of this Yang Ming? To be able to participate in the company's important meeting, you must know that the people here are the company's executives. In particular, Yang Ming is still so young. He looks like he is about 20 years old. Could it be that he is also a child sent by the Sun family to train? Okay, Little Zhang, turn on the remote video. The head office has to monitor the live broadcast of our meeting. Sun Jia instructed. Okay, manager. Little Zhang stood up and began to set up the camera in the conference room. Let's start the meeting. Sun Jia said calmly. There was an indescribable confidence and calmness in her tone. Yang Ming looked at the different Sun Jia and was a little confused. The cunning Sun Jia in the morning, and the strong woman Sun Jia now, are they the same person? Let me introduce everyone. This is our company's honorary consultant, the project manager of the Mingyang Real Estate Development Company, Yang Ming. Just as Yang Ming was lost in his thoughts, Sun Jia suddenly introduced him. Chapter 488. The people below were very unfamiliar with the Mingyang Real Estate Company. They didn't know what kind of company it was, but they were very confused about the title of honorary consultant. It seemed that if they guessed correctly, this person was really likely to be a relative of the royal family, a relative of one of the major shareholders of the head office. Mingyang Real Estate. Honorary consultant. Yang Ming smiled bitterly for a while. What kind of title is this? Ming Yang. How could Sun Jia come up with this name? She probably made it up based on her own name. Unfortunately, it was the same name as Ho Jinhan's security company. However, Yang Ming really had the intention of forming a real estate company. He didn't expect Sun Jia to be right. Yang Ming intended to let Ho Jinhan do it. With Ho Jinhan's background, it shouldn't be difficult to establish a foothold in Songjiang's real estate industry. Since Sun Jia introduced it like this, Yang Ming couldn't refute it. He had to stand up calmly and nodded to everyone like an expert. Although the group of executives below didn't know the true identity of Yang Ming, they thought that the person who could be valued by Sun Jia was either a relative of the head office or a real expert. Therefore, they also applauded enthusiastically. Yang Ming wasn't used to it, but he had to smile to everyone. Fortunately, Yang Ming's face was thick. Even a machine gun couldn't penetrate it. Sun Hongjuan's schedule every day was very tight. For remote meetings like Sun Jia's, generally speaking, he just took a few glances, and then let the secretary be responsible for following up. But today, Sun Hongjun heard the name of Yang Ming, so he watched the video of the meeting with interest. President Sun, the time for the regular meeting every morning is coming soon. The secretary reminded him. Oh. Today's regular meeting will be arranged by Vice President Wang. I won't be going. Sun Hongjun instructed. Yes, President Sunday. Although the secretary was very puzzled, the president rarely delayed the regular meeting. Since the president had spoken, the secretary didn't dare to disobey, so she respectfully left to arrange the morning meeting. After the secretary left, Sun Hongjun picked up the phone on the table and dialed a number. Old San? Asked Sun Hongjun. Master, it's me. Sun San said respectfully. Go to my study, turn on the computer, and connect to the internal video conference channel. Take a look, is it this Yang Ming? Sun Hongjun said. Okay, I'll be right there. Sun San put down the newspaper in his hand and quickly walked to Sun Hongjuan's study. Usually, only Sun San could enter Sun Hongjuan's study room. The other servants were not allowed to enter. This was because there were a large number of copies of contracts and some trade secrets stored inside. Sun San entered the study, turned on the computer, and entered the internal meeting channel. In the meeting, Sun Jia was speaking, and Yang Ming was sitting next to Sun Jia at the moment. Did you see that? Sun Hongjun asked. I saw him. That's right, it's him. He's the one who came to the Eastern Sea last time. Sun San took a look and said with certainty. Oh. Was it really him? But how did he become a real estate consultant? Sun Hongjun frowned. Didn't you tell me that he's a college student studying computer science? This is true. I have already seen his school file. He is indeed a freshman at Songjiang Industry University, and he is also studying computer science. Sun San said, just this morning, yeah. Yu Yanin called me and said that Yang Ming was resting at the young lady's place last night. Continue. Sun Hongjun gestured. He wasn't a conservative person, not to mention that his daughter was already so old. He had no right to interfere with his daughter's private life. According to Yu Yanin, the young lady and Yang Ming discussed real estate in the study room last night. The discussion was very enthusiastic, and it didn't seem to be fake. Sun San said. I got it. Sun Hongjun nodded. Whether it was fake or not, it will be clear in a while. Old San, both of us are not very familiar with real estate. I will find an expert to come and take a look at it for me. Okay. Sun San said. Right, I understand the matter between you and Yu Yanin. Let's do it this way. I will give you a time. When Sun Jia gets married, you and her matter will be done together. Sun Hongjun sighed and said. Master, we are already so old. We don't think about it anymore. Don't make fun of me. Sun San was suddenly blushed. You're old. Why don't you think about it? Old people also have old people's love. Sun Hongjun said, well, this matter is settled. I will arrange it for you when the time comes. Yes, thank you, Master. Sun San said very excitedly. He knew that Sun Hongjun had always been a man of his words, so he no longer refused and quickly thanked him. Yes, he had been waiting for this day for too long. Sun San didn't dare to disobey the strict family rules of the Sun family. Sun Hongjun wouldn't easily change the family rules for anyone, but today, he made an exception. Of course, this was also because Sun Hongjun's mood was still good today. Why? Sun Jia, who had always been single, was finally willing to be close to a man. This showed that his daughter had this idea. Let's not talk about whether Yang Ming was qualified to be the son-in-law of the Sun family. At least, Sun Jia had a boyfriend, which was much better than being single. Moreover, over the years, Sun Hongjun had also lowered the standards of Sun Jia's spouse. From the beginning, he kept introducing some famous families to his daughter to urging Sun Jia to quickly bring a boyfriend home like a little old man every day. This was also the reason why Sun Hongjun didn't intervene after knowing about Yang Ming. Anyway, let's wait and see first. If I really forced an intervention, would my daughter, who was easily moved, completely give up? Therefore, Sun Hongjun didn't dare to make a move. He could only silently investigate Yang Ming behind the scenes. Moreover, Sun Hongjun also knew his own daughter very well. Today, Yang Ming could appear at this meeting. It could also be seen indirectly that Sun Jia was showing her boyfriend to him. With the status and financial resources of the Sun family today, there was no need to have any requirements for Sun Jia's spouse. The identity of the man was actually not particularly important. After all, the Sun family was now the first family in Donghai. But now, what was the Sun family most lacking? Talent. This was Sun Hongjun's biggest worry. No matter how strong Sun Jia was, she was just a woman. Some things couldn't be handled by a woman. For example, it wasn't appropriate for Sun Jia to handle the matters of the Sun family in the underworld. Sun Jiwei was obviously a Ado who couldn't be helped. How could Sun Hongjun not be upset? After 100 years, would the Sun family's huge foundation be destroyed? It was also for this reason that Sun Hongjun didn't interfere in the affairs of Sun Jia and Yang Ming. Because he was watching, seeing what kind of person this Yang Ming was. If he was really a talent, then it didn't matter what his background was. The Sun family didn't lack a background, and a real talent wasn't afraid of a low background. On the contrary, even if he was a son of a famous family, if he was an idiot, what was the use? At that time, not only would the Sun family's foundation be ruined, but even his own family's foundation would be ruined. This was also why Sun Hongjun wasn't optimistic about Guo Dongchuan. Guo Dongchuan gave Sun Hongjun the feeling that although this person graduated from a famous university, he was too superficial. If he said that he came out to mingle, he was too cultured. If he said that he didn't mingle, he was too martial. To put it bluntly, he was a cultured person with a bandit aura. It gave people a feeling of being neither high nor low. There was a good saying. In this day and age, we aren't afraid of gangsters, but we are afraid of gangsters with culture. However, Guo Dongchuan's culture didn't seem to be the case. It was too far from the momentum of a real superior. It was more like a nouveau riche who wanted to be part of the upper class. But for the Yang Ming on the screen now, Sun Hongjun's first impression was quite satisfied. In any case, this Yang Ming's temperament was good, and it wasn't easy for a college student to be able to stay calm in the company's high-level meeting. Looking at the calm smile on Yang Ming's face, Sun Hongjun couldn't help but nod. This person at least had the identity of a superior. Sun Hongjun hung up Sun San's phone call and called the company's real estate department. He directly transferred a few senior experts to the chairman's office. He was ready to examine this Yang Ming. If it was really possible, then he would focus on training him. However, this Yang Ming looked like he was only in his 20s. Of course, this was just looking. The actual investigation showed that he was less than 20 years old. His daughter was already 25 years old, Sun Hongjun sighed. Although it seemed that his daughter was well maintained, and this young man named Yang Ming looked quite mature, after all, his age was still there. Chapter 489. One had just entered university, and the other was about to graduate as a graduate student. This gap was indeed quite big. Thinking of this, Sun Hongjun shook his head. But as long as the two young people were willing, it would be fine. At this moment, there was a knock on the office door. "Come in," said Sun Hongjun. "President Sun, are you looking for us?" A few engineers from the company's real estate department came in. They were responsible for land bidding. Come and take a look." Sun Hongjun waved his hand. "This is a branch meeting. Help me check it out." "Okay, President Sunday." Although several engineers wondered why Sun Hongjun was suddenly interested in the branch meeting, they couldn't neglect the instructions of the chairman. So, they sat down and watched the video of the meeting seriously. At this time, it was Yang Ming's turn to speak. Yang Ming couldn't help it. Sun Jia was obviously forcing him to do something beyond his ability. Yang Ming helplessly picked up the proposal that he discussed with Sun Jia yesterday and began to talk about it. Yang Ming was very helpless now, but he couldn't help it. Everyone was looking at him. He couldn't just run away, right? However, at the beginning, Yang Ming had some stage fright, but as he immersed himself, Yang Ming also began to talk incessantly. Yang Ming's ability to understand was strong. Plus, he had a general understanding of the proposal last night, so it wasn't very difficult to talk about it. Instead, he added a lot of his own opinions. Although Yang Ming didn't say some professional terms very well, at least the meaning was expressed clearly. So, the executives present had the illusion that Yang Ming was a local expert. Even Sun Hongjun understood what Yang Ming said. Yang Ming was clearly speaking the language. If he knew this, he wouldn't have asked those engineers to come over. What did he say? Sun Hongjun, who didn't understand much, listened to Yang Ming, who wasn't very professional. He could understand it, so he was happy to hear it. Director Sun, with all due respect. I'm afraid this person isn't from the real estate industry, right? An expert hesitated for a long time before speaking. Because he just saw that Sun Hongjun seemed to be listening with interest, but because he was responsible for the company, he couldn't speak without thinking. He could only test Sun Hongjun's attitude. Well, I don't think he's from the real estate industry, but I think what he said makes sense. Sun Hongjun was very satisfied with Yang Ming's performance. It was already very good for a computer science major college student to speak like this. Moreover, Sun Hongjun could now be completely sure that Yang Ming was absolutely improvising on the spot. It was impossible for Sun Jia to have premeditated it in advance. Otherwise, Yang Ming wouldn't have come up with such unprofessional words. That's right. Many of the theories he said are correct, but the way he said them is a bit too unprofessional. And many of them are just whimsical ideas. Although they inspire a lot of the proposal, they are not very useful in practice. It's not very practical, said the expert engineer. I think it's very good. Okay, you guys go and do your own things first. Sun Hongjun waved his hand and let these experts leave first. Then, he called Sun San. Old San, what did Yang Ming say just now? Sun Hongjun asked with a smile. Not bad. I understood it. Sun San also smiled and said, this young man is a talent. It's already very good that he can speak like this. And I think so too. You continue to pay attention to him. Sun Hongjun said, right, investigate his private life by the way. Okay, master, I got it. Sun San replied. In the conference room of Sun Jie's company, the executives looked at Yang Ming with wide eyes. Indeed, some of Yang Ming's ideas made these people feel very novel, but the way of expression was somewhat lacking. Despite this, these people still applauded. They couldn't help it. They couldn't figure out Yang Ming's identity. Maybe Yang Ming was a township entrepreneur in a small place. Sun Jia was basically satisfied with Yang Ming's nonsense. After the meeting, Sun Jia said to Yang Ming, I didn't notice that you are quite cohesive. You are calm in the face of danger. I didn't expect this group of people to be so easy to fool. Yang Ming smiled. Come on, but your performance is not bad. Sun Jia nodded to Yang Ming. If there's nothing else, I will go first. I am about to take the final exam. These days, the teacher is quite strict. It may be bad enough if I don't go to class, said Yang Ming. That's fine. Sun Jia nodded. Do you want me to find someone to send you? No need. I will just take a taxi. Yang Ming said. Looking at Yang Ming leaving, Sun Jia's mouth showed a smile. It seems that Yang Ming's performance is really beyond my expectations. I don't know how my father is. What kind of impression would he have of Yang Ming? Yang Ming walked out of Sun Jia's company. His mind was still in a daze as if it was a lifetime ago. Yesterday, I just casually agreed to Sun Jia's request and went to her house to pretend to be her boyfriend. It seems that I am now Lin Jiyun's substitute boyfriend. Now there is another one. Am I a professional imposter? Yang Ming smiled bitterly for a while. This Sun Jia's house was different from Lin Jiyun's house. Yang Ming was likely to be exposed if he wasn't careful. Moreover, the most exaggerated thing was that Sun Jia actually asked him to pretend to be an expert of a real estate company. This was simply inappropriate. However, things had already come to this point. Yang Ming couldn't back down even if he wanted to. Anyway, nothing would happen to him at that time. At most, he would be kicked out by Sun Hongjun. He stopped a taxi and came to the school gate. Yang Ming handed the driver 15 yuan. The driver gave Yang Ming 2 yuan and then pointed to a luxury car not far away. What car is this? So badass. Could it be a Rolls-Royce Phantom? As soon as Yang Ming raised his head, he saw a retro luxury car parked at the entrance of the school. Yang Ming didn't know what a Rolls-Royce Phantom was, but looking at the appearance of this car, it wasn't cheap. I don't know which rich person's child is going to school here. Yang Ming shook his head and didn't care about those useless things. He took the 2 yuan from the driver and walked into the school gate. Before he took 2 steps, the door of the Rolls-Royce opened. 2 young men wearing sunglasses came out from inside and directly blocked Yang Ming's path. Wait a minute. The man in sunglasses reached out and stopped Yang Ming. Yang Ming squinted and looked at the 2 arrogant guys in front of him. He said coldly, "Get out of my way. You are Yang Ming." The man in sunglasses didn't bother with Yang Ming but asked directly. Who are you? Yang Ming frowned. These 2 people actually called out his name as soon as they came up. Obviously, they came specifically for him. You don't know, but our boss wants to see you. The man in sunglasses said faintly. Your boss? Who is it? What does he want to see me for? Asked Yang Ming. Our boss. You will know when you see him. As for what he wants to do, it is impossible for us to know. The man in sunglasses said bluntly. Boss? Yang Ming glanced at the Rolls-Royce behind the two men. Although he hadn't seen it before, Yang Ming had also heard of the Phantom. This car was expensive. It wasn't something that ordinary people could afford. Yang Ming really hadn't seen people who could come up with such a big sum of money. Wang Shifan's car was a Mercedes-Benz S600. As for those Song Heng, it was already badass to be able to drive an Audi and Passat. Sun family. A word suddenly appeared in Yang Ming's mind. Yes, I just came out of Sun Jie's conference room, and someone is looking for me. If it isn't the Sun family, who else can it be? Moreover, who can come up with such a big sum of money? Besides the Sun family in Donghai, who else is so rich? Thinking of this, Yang Ming subconsciously glanced at the license plate of the Rolls-Royce. He found that it wasn't a license plate from Donghai, but a black license plate from another country. Joint venture. Yang Ming was stunned, but then he was relieved. Many luxury cars didn't come in through normal channels, and many foreign companies had the right to directly import cars. So, if the Sun family wanted to buy this car, it wasn't impossible to get it through other companies. However, isn't this Sun Hongjun thinking too highly of me? He actually got such a luxury car to receive me. Of course, Yang Ming was also very clear about Sun Hongjun's purpose. If he said that he specially sent this car to pick me up, Yang Ming wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. Although my real identity is very badass, it isn't public after all. My current identity is a student. It is impossible to enjoy this kind of treatment. The rest of the explanation is easy. That is, Sun Hongjun wants to use this to show the strength of the Sun family and get a car to challenge me. However, although this car was expensive, Yang Ming's money could buy many of these cars. Thinking of this, Yang Ming smiled and asked, people from the Sun family. What Sun family? Chapter 490. Are you sent by the Sun family? Yang Ming looked at the two people in front of him and asked calmly. Sun family? What Sun family? The two people were stunned and looked at Yang Ming inexplicably. What? You are not from the Sun family. Yang Ming's nerves immediately became alert. If Sun Hongjun was looking for him, then Yang Ming would have some confidence in his heart. After all, there was a reason. But now, these two people drove such a luxury car to find him. Yang Ming really didn't know what to do. Yang Ming glanced at the Rolls-Royce with his special ability. There was no one else. This made Yang Ming slightly relieved. He was confident that he could easily deal with the two people in front of him. Please. Although the two men in sunglasses said please, they didn't mean to invite him at all. If your boss wants to see me, then let him come by himself. Yang Ming glanced at the two people in front of him and said contemptuously. Your tone is not small. One of the men in sunglasses was about to attack, but he was stopped by the person next to him. You'd better cooperate. I guarantee that you are not in any danger. The other man in sunglasses said calmly, however, if you don't go, don't blame us for using force. Although the tone was very calm, anyone could hear the threat in the words. Using force. Yang Ming smiled. It was the kind of smile that was very skeptical and contemptuous. It wasn't that he looked down on these two people, but these two people didn't deserve his respect at all. Our boss is very busy. It's good that he can see you in his busy schedule. Why are you so troublesome? Hurry up and get in the car. The first man in sunglasses impatiently reached out to grab Yang Ming. Paw! Yang Ming easily slapped away the guy's outstretched hand. Then he sneered, "If you don't want to be disabled, don't touch me." The first man in sunglasses' arm was numb. He didn't expect Yang Ming to have such great strength. He was a little surprised. "Mr. Yang, I hope you can cooperate. Our boss is looking for you with no ill intentions." The second man in sunglasses saw that Yang Ming wasn't moved by force or persuasion, and he seemed to know kung fu, so his tone became polite. "Are you kidding me? Your boss is looking for me, and you want me to cooperate?" Yang Ming shrugged and said with a crooked mouth, "Sorry, I'm not going to accompany you." As he spoke, Yang Ming lifted his leg and walked into the school. "Wait." The man in sunglasses was anxious and quickly stopped him. "Wait for me to call our boss. Take your time, I still have to go to class." Yang Ming walked away without looking back. "What should we do?" asked one of the men wearing sunglasses. "This kid is very strong. It's a bit strange." The second man in sunglasses said, "Let's call the boss first to ask for instructions." Yang Ming quickly flashed behind a teaching building, and then observed the two people at the door through his special ability. He wanted to find some clues from their conversation. Sure enough, Yang Ming saw the two men in sunglasses return to the car. One of them took out his mobile phone and dialed a number. Because it was dialed through the phone book, Yang Ming couldn't see the phone number. "Hello, boss, this is Xuanzi," the man in sunglasses who called said. On the other side, he didn't know what was said to him. Xuanzi continued, "Boss, we waited for Yang Ming at the school gate, but he didn't go back with us." Yes, it's my fault. But Yang Ming is very tough, and it's not very appropriate to catch people in public at the university gate." Yang Ming sneered when he saw this. "This guy actually knows how to excuse me. Isn't it appropriate to catch people in public? Is he afraid that he can't beat me?" Yes, I know. But Yang Ming said that if you want to see him, you have to see him yourself. He doesn't have time. Xuanzi said hesitantly. What was said on the other side was something that Yang Ming couldn't know. Then Xuanzi nodded and hung up the phone. After reading this, Yang Ming was still a little confused. He didn't know what these two people were up to. Yang Ming watched for a while and found that the two people didn't leave but continued to stay in the car. They both kept silent. Yang Ming didn't need to continue to observe. So, he turned around and prepared to leave. Suddenly, an old man wearing a red armband rushed in front of Yang Ming. Fine. Yang Ming looked at the old man in front of him in amazement. He didn't know where the fine came from. "I'm an inspector of the school security office. You urinated and defecated everywhere. The fine is 100 yuan. Otherwise, you will be given a demerit," the old man said as he took out a receipt from his pocket and prepared to fill it. Urinated and defecated everywhere. Yang Ming looked at the old man inexplicably. "When did I urinate and defecate everywhere? You just stood under the wall for a long time. Don't think that I didn't see it," the old man said with a stare. "Hurry up and pay the money. Which eye of yours saw that I urinated and defecated everywhere?" Yang Ming didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Can't I stand under the wall?" "You didn't urinate when you stood under the wall. You dare to say that? You're lying with your eyes wide open." The old man waved his hand impatiently. "Don't waste time. It's fine to pay the fine. You can go to your tutor." "Are you from the school security office?" Yang Ming suddenly looked at the old man and asked. "Yeah, hurry up and pay the money," said the old man. "Where's the work permit?" "Let me take a look," said Yang Ming. "Look at what work permit?" The old man stared and said, I haven't seen your student ID yet. Then I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. Yang Ming waved his hand and said, I'm very skeptical about whether you're from the security office. You're on your own now. As he said this, he was about to leave. Wait, don't go. The old man grabbed Yang Ming's collar. Yang Ming was annoyed. Looking at the old man's weak appearance, Yang Ming really didn't dare to use force. He was afraid that this guy wouldn't be able to get up directly. Everyone, come and see. College students urinate and defecate everywhere. Admit your mistake. The old man seemed to be a Beijing opera singer. His voice was so loud that it was unparalleled. When he shouted, the nearby students stopped to watch. Sun Jiwei was very depressed these days. Not only was he scolded by his sister, but the limit of his pocket money was also strongly controlled. This wasn't a big deal. When he went to the tutor's office, he was also criticized by the tutor. He said that he didn't unite with his classmates and formed a clique. Isn't forming a clique and uniting with classmates the same thing? Sun Jiwei didn't see the difference between these two. On the way back to the classroom, Sun Jiwei suddenly heard someone shouting, "University students defecate and pee everywhere." He couldn't help but feel disgusted. Isn't this a mental illness? So, he looked up and glanced at it. Ha! Sun Jiwei felt great. Yang Ming, it's actually Yang Ming. Yang Ming was actually caught defecating and peeing everywhere. This news is too shocking. Sun Jiwei's mouth was about to burst open. If this matter was hyped up, Yang Ming's reputation would be ruined in the future. I also vented my anger. Thinking of this, Sun Jiwei quickly ran to the tutor's office. He had to inform the tutor as soon as possible. I can't let this guy settle it privately first. Although it's not a big deal to defecate and pee everywhere in school, if the hyping was done properly, it would at least be a demerit. Sun Jiwei took out his mobile phone as he walked and called his confidants in the class. He asked them to quickly organize people to come and watch the scene of Yang Ming being caught defecating and peeing everywhere. Yang Ming was really helpless now. If this guy wasn't so old, Yang Ming really wanted to give him a kick. Isn't this looking for trouble? When did I defecate and pee everywhere? However, even if I defecate and pee everywhere, it has nothing to do with him, right? In Yang Ming's memory, the school's security office didn't hire an old man as an inspector. Everyone, come and see. A university student defecates and pees everywhere. He is caught red-handed and doesn't admit it. Everyone, come and see. The old man shouted loudly, and more people came to watch. At this time, Sun Jiwei also rushed over with the tutor. Xia Yongqiang's teaching building wasn't far behind, so it only took a few minutes to get here. On the other side, Sun Jiwei's confidants also organized the students in the class, ready to watch Yang Ming make a fool of himself. Tutor, Yang Ming, he defecates and pees everywhere. It's right there. Sun Jiwei pointed in Yang Ming's direction and exclaimed. Xia Yongqiang frowned. He thought, why is this Sun Jiwei still like a child? Don't you find this kind of thing shameful? Why are you still promoting it? Yang Ming was angry when he saw Sun Jiwei's dead face. This guy is really like a big horse monkey, jumping out whenever there is a problem. Chapter 491. Everyone, there is nothing to see. Our class's Yang Ming was caught urinating and defecating everywhere. Everyone, please disperse. Sun Jiwei began to speak to the onlookers. He deliberately emphasized the two words Yang Ming, as if he was afraid that others couldn't hear it. AI, this is really embarrassing for our freshman computer science class too. Sun Jiwei continued to nag. Xia Yongqiang almost ran over to give this kid a big slap. Motherfucker, are you doing this deliberately? You mentioned Yang Ming before, and now you say computer science class too. Isn't this the same as insulting me, Xia Yongqiang? I'm the tutor of this class. After you publicize it like this, what will others think of me? My student urinates and defecates everywhere. Wang Jitao also received Sun Jiwei's notification and rushed over. This guy was now sticking to Zhou Jiejia. Yang Ming, this guy really doesn't pay attention. He actually did this kind of thing. AI. Wang Jitao sighed. This is really a disgrace to the class. As the class monitor of Yang Ming's original class, I also feel ashamed. Impossible. It must be a misunderstanding. Yang Ming can't do this kind of thing. Zhou Jiejia shook her head and frowned. Wang Jitao was stunned. Yeah, Yang Ming is also a fool. Why would he urinate and defecate on campus for no reason? This doesn't make sense, right? It's not like there are no toilets in the school. There are toilets in any teaching building or dormitory building. Since Yang Ming urinated and defecated in the corner of the teaching building, why didn't he turn around to the indoor toilet? In this cold weather, if he froze off a part of his body. No! Wang Jitao screamed in his heart. An indescribable strange feeling surged in his heart. Why did this scene seem so familiar? Wang Jitao couldn't help but remember a few months ago when he was still in high school. Didn't Chen Afu make such a big mistake? Thinking of this, Wang Jitao slapped his head. Was this Sun Jiwei playing with fire? Seeing that Yang Ming was not panicking at all, Wang Jitao was a little anxious. At this time, there were more and more onlookers. Many people also recognized Yang Ming. This guy was the awesome guy who defeated the president of the Taekwondo club with the brick-breaking martial arts. Yang Ming, what's going on? Xia Yongqiang walked over with a sullen face and whispered to Yang Ming. Nothing much. This old man is crazy. He pulled me aside and insisted that I urinate and defecate everywhere. He wants to fine me. Yang Ming spread out his hands and explained with an indifferent expression. I saw you peeing at the base of the wall over there with my own eyes. Am I wrong? The old man said with a grin. Who are you? Xia Yongqiang turned around and asked the old man. I am an inspector of the campus security office. The old man said with a stiff neck. An inspector of the campus security office. Xia Yongqiang shook his head. He had never heard of an inspector in the campus security office. Moreover, with this old man's age, shouldn't he have retired long ago? It was impossible for the school to recruit such a person to be an inspector. Yeah. The old man said, you are his instructor, right? Talk to him and let him pay the fine obediently. Otherwise, you will report him to the school and give him a demerit. Fine. I will give him a demerit. Xia Yongqiang couldn't help but be amused after listening. What is this? First of all, the school won't simply fine a student. Moreover, Yang Ming is my student. I will criticize and educate him. Who are you? Is it your turn to point fingers here? Yes. If he doesn't pay the fine, you will give him a demerit. The old man said confidently. You are from the school security office. Xia Yongqiang looked at the red armband on the old man's arm suspiciously. There was no writing on it. It was completely a piece of red cloth. Yeah. The old man glanced at Xia Yongqiang and nodded. You should take care of your student now. What are you doing as an instructor? Why are you asking about me? Although Xia Yongqiang was puzzled, he thought that the old man was right. First, he had to solve the problem of Yang Ming peeing everywhere. Otherwise, it wouldn't be good to stand here like this. Yang Ming, can you tell me what happened first? Xia Yongqiang already had doubts about the old man's identity, so he decided to listen to Yang Ming's opinion. Teacher Xia, when did I pee everywhere? Why don't you ask him where I peed and peed? Yang Ming said helplessly. You were in the corner. If you don't believe me, let's go and take a look, said the old man. Let's go. I think if we don't get to the bottom of it, you won't give up. Yang Ming smiled. Therefore, the old man, Yang Ming, and the instructor Xia Yongqiang walked together to the bottom of the wall. When they came to the bottom of the wall, the old man pointed at a place and said, "This is here." What happened here? Xia Yongqiang looked at the dry ground and asked in confusion. Ah! The old man was also stunned. He looked at the ground and there was no trace of water. He couldn't help but wonder, impossible. Could it be that it has already dried? Dried? Yang Ming sneered, do you think it's summer? Look carefully, where are the traces of urine and feces? This. The old man was at a loss. Could it be that his judgment was wrong? At this time, the surrounding students also came over. When they saw that there were no traces of urine and feces on the ground, they began to sigh. Many of the students who were caught by the old man also began to take the opportunity to make a fuss. This old man is a liar. Teacher, you have to take him and hand him over to the school. That's right. Let's see if there is any black screen. How can there be such a thing? Fine casually. Who gave him the right? Another student shouted. That's right. Let's go over together and discuss some things. Let's wait until after the final exam. There are only a few days left. Yang Ming glanced at the calendar and said. That's fine too. Zhang Bin nodded. Before Zhang Bin finished speaking, Yang Ming's cell phone rang. He picked it up and saw that it was really Chen Mengyan. Hello, Mengyan. Yang Ming picked up the phone. Yang Ming, are you okay? Chen Mengyan's voice sounded a little worried. I'm fine. It's just that the class monitor of our class is annoying. He publicized it so much that everyone knows about it. Yang Ming smiled. It's good that you're fine. But why are you always against the class monitor? Previously, it was Wang Jitao, and now it's like this. Chen Mengyan asked doubtfully, I say, Yang Ming, are you doing this because of a girl this time? How could it be? Yang Ming didn't lie this time. Although Sun Jiwei was partly because of Wang Jitao, the main reason was still because of the other conflicts between Sun Jiwei and himself. Humph. Chen Mengyan sneered twice. She seemed to have lost a little confidence in Yang Ming. Mengyan, have you eaten lunch? Yang Ming asked. Look at the time. Of course, I have eaten. You come and go without a trace. Zhao Sisi and Zhang Bin are a couple. Chen Mengyan complained. It's all my fault. Why don't I treat you to dinner tonight? Let's go out and eat. Yang Ming said with some shame. Lin Jiyun, Sun Jia. I have neglected my real girlfriend, Chen Mengyan. Well, it just so happens that I have something to tell you. Chen Mengyan said, I have a Western economics class in the evening. The class won't end until 5:30. Wait for me. Okay. What's the matter? Can't you say it over the phone? Yang Ming heard that Chen Mengyan had something to tell him, so he couldn't help but ask first. It's like this. Several universities in our province have organized a winter camp. Now the registration is open. Do you want to join? Chen Mengyan said. Winter camp. When is it? Yang Ming had long heard that university life was more colorful, and there were more extracurricular group activities. Now, after listening to Chen Mengyan, he suddenly became interested. The major universities in our province generally have their final exams in these few days. The winter camp is on the 10th of this month. Chen Mengyan said, there is a notice posted at the entrance of the main building of the university. It is jointly organized by the student unions of several universities. Oh. Okay, I will take a look at it in a while. Let's discuss it again at night. Yang Ming nodded after listening. Needless to say, since Chen Mengyan asked this, she definitely wanted to participate in this winter camp. Otherwise, she wouldn't ask for his opinion. In the afternoon, Yang Ming's class didn't have classes. Today was the last day before the final exam. Except for a few specific departments, many departments were on holiday. He didn't sleep well last night. Yang Ming planned to sleep well and then go out with Chen Mengyan at night. It would be best to have a candlelight dinner or something like that. Yang Ming took off his shoes and fell on the bed in the dormitory. Before he fell asleep, the phone in the living room rang. Yang Ming didn't care. Anyway, Tian Donghua was surfing the internet. But it didn't take long for Tian Donghua's loud voice to come. Yang Ming, the administrator downstairs called. Someone downstairs is looking for you. What? Looking for me? After Yang Ming heard it, he had to get up from the bed again. He came to the living room helplessly. Who is looking for me? How would I know? Tian Donghua shook his head. The administrator didn't say. He just asked me to inform you to go down quickly. Damn. Yang Ming reluctantly put on his coat. Who is looking for me? They didn't come up directly, but they asked me to go down. It is probably a girl. If it was a boy, he would come up directly. Tian Donghua said. A girl? Yang Ming frowned. It definitely couldn't be Chen Mengyan. Besides Xiaoying and Zhou Jiejia, who could come to find him? Who could it be? Yang Ming went downstairs and looked downstairs with his special ability. At first glance, he couldn't help but curse, damn. It was actually the two young men in sunglasses I met in the morning. Are they fucking done yet? They can even find out my dormitory. It's really hard for these two guys. Seeing that it was the two of them, Yang Ming didn't want to go down because Yang Ming felt that he had nothing to say to them. They weren't the people behind the scenes in the end. Yang Ming didn't want to waste time with them. However, soon, Yang Ming changed his mind. Because he had seen what the two of them were talking about. You say, why is this Yang Ming so arrogant that he can bother the boss to see him personally? Said the man in sunglasses. Who knows? It seems that the boss seems to value this person. I don't know what's the matter. Said the man in sunglasses. This guy is really slow. He hasn't come down yet after so long. Do you want to call again to urge him? Said the man in sunglasses impatiently. I think it's fine. After the man in sunglasses finished speaking, he said to the dormitory's administrator, you should urge that Yang Ming again. Why is he so slow? Why are you urging him? The administrator glared at the man in sunglasses and said, you guys go out and wait. After that, he ignored these two people, making the two men in sunglasses very embarrassed. When Yang Ming saw this, he smiled slightly and deliberately slowed down to let them wait for a while. Finally, Yang Ming came downstairs and appeared in front of the two men in sunglasses. Your boss is here. Where is he? Yang Ming asked directly, and the two men in sunglasses were suddenly at a loss. They thought that Yang Ming would be surprised to see them, but they didn't expect Yang Ming to directly say their purpose. How do you know that our boss is here? Asked the man in sunglasses. If he didn't come, I'm afraid that the two of you would have come in vain. Yang Ming said faintly. You. The temper of the man in sunglasses was obviously not very good. He wanted to lose his temper. Okay. The man in sunglasses stopped him. Mr. Yang, our boss is in the car outside the campus. Come with us. Yang Ming did not bother with the lady. Instead, he looked at the interior of the RV. In the future, I can also buy one. Or encourage Sun Jia to buy one, so that the two of us can be inside. Hee, what are you laughing at? The lady saw that Yang Ming did not speak, but his mouth showed a treacherous smile as soon as he got in the car. She found it strange. Nothing. This car is good. Yang Ming shrugged and said. Is it? The lady asked, you don't know how to avoid taboo. You are so boastful when you talk. Avoid taboo. Why should I avoid taboo? Yang Ming was stunned. What is boastful? In a word, you are with my daughter because of my family's money, right? The lady said sarcastically. Your daughter. Your family's money. Yang Ming looked at the lady and widened his eyes. Who is your daughter? The only women who are related to me are Chen Mengyan, Lin Jiyun, Lan Ling, and Xiao Qing. I have already met Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun's parents. I have also met Lan Ling's grandmother. Then, there is Xiao Qing. Chu Huifang is my godmother. How can I not know her? Aside from these, whose mother is this woman in front of me? Yang Ming's head was full of question marks, and he couldn't figure it out. Could it be? Suya's mother is looking for me. It's not possible. Yang Ming shook his head and looked at the lady in front of him. Which one? What do you mean? You dare to do it, but you don't dare to admit it. The lady sneered. I say, this auntie, are you looking for the wrong person? Yang Ming was confused. Yes, I am looking for you. Aren't you Yang Ming? Songjiang Industry University's Computer Science Department student of level 08 Class 2. The lady directly said Yang Ming's identity. Father is a workshop worker in the Songjiang bus factory. Mother is unemployed. You investigated me. Yang Ming frowned. No matter whose mother this person was, her approach made Yang Ming feel disgusted. If I didn't investigate you, how would I know the purpose of you being with my daughter? Said the lady. Yang Ming was speechless. He was dumbfounded as he looked at the woman in front of him. Are you done? If you are done, I will get off the car. First, I don't know you. My girlfriend's mother doesn't look like you. Second, you investigated me, which made me very unhappy. Your temper is quite bad. Don't think that I don't know that you called my daughter. The lady said coldly. I called your daughter. Who is your daughter? Yang Ming said impatiently, if you want to talk to me, say it clearly. Don't be vague. You still want to pretend. The lady snorted. You and my daughter sit together in class every day. Don't think that I don't know. Sit together. Yang Ming was stunned, and then he said in surprise, Zhou Jia. Your daughter. Humph, you finally remembered. It seems that you have quite a lot of girlfriends. The lady looked at Yang Ming contemptuously. I didn't expect you to make a living in this industry. I thought who it was. Yang Ming sneered and frowned. Are you talking about Zhou Jia? Hee, then you can rest assured. I have nothing to do with her. It's useless for you to deny it. I have investigated the matter very clearly. The lady looked at Yang Ming's action and said with disgust, Today, I want you to explain it clearly to me. I think my words have been very clear. I have nothing to do with Zhou Jia. Yang Ming finished faintly and was about to stand up. What is this? Listening to this woman's words, I am interested in her family's money. Moreover, it seems that she means that I am relying on women to live off women. 100,000. You take the money and leave. When the woman saw that Yang Ming was about to leave, she was a little anxious and directly said her price. 100,000. Yang Ming snorted. This self-righteous woman is really stupid. I have nothing to do with her daughter, and she took out 100,000 yuan just like that. What a sucker. But even if she was a sucker, Yang Ming didn't intend to take her money. There was no other reason. Yang Ming wasn't short of money, and this money wasn't worth it. Once he took her money, it would be like he really did something. I will give you 100,000 yuan to let you do something imaginary. Are you willing? Yang Ming snorted and replied. Your tone is not small. It seems that you have cheated a lot in the past few years. The noblewoman was a little surprised. Listening to Yang Ming's tone, it seemed that 100,000 yuan was nothing to him. Does this have anything to do with you? Yang Ming was too lazy to refute. This woman is unreasonable. In fact, Zhou Jiejia's mother wasn't an impulsive person. She felt that 100,000 yuan was too high. The reason why she said her bottom price was because the matter was related to her daughter, so she was a little anxious. However, it seemed that her price wasn't very high. This Yang Ming in front of her didn't care about this 100,000 yuan at all. Don't go too far. The noblewoman restored her usual calmness. 100,000 yuan is my bottom line. Don't expect to get more money. Zhou Jiejia doesn't even have this much money. What does it have to do with me whether she has money or not? Yang Ming smiled and said, how many times do I have to tell you before you understand? I have nothing to do with Zhou Jiejia. Aren't you afraid of losing everything? Be careful that you don't even have 100,000 yuan. The noblewoman threatened. 100,000 yuan. Keep it for your daughter as a dowry. Yang Ming said faintly, I am not interested in her. Moreover, I don't want to see you again. I hope you have some self-awareness and don't bother me. Yang Ming, don't regret it. Don't even think about the matter between you and Zhou Jiejia in the future. The noblewoman said, now the money is in front of you. If you don't take it, you won't have it in the future. It doesn't matter. 100,000 yuan. Is it a lot? Yang Ming smiled self-deprecatingly. Perhaps, before he became a rich man, he might be tempted. Now, there was no special feeling at all. Yang Ming stood up and deliberately shook his shoulders. He said to himself, wasting time. After that, he knocked on the door and said, open the door. I'm getting off. This. The sunglasses man looked at the noblewoman and didn't know if he should open the door for Yang Ming. Chapter 494. Don't regret it if you don't open the door. Yang Ming sneered, I don't know if this door can be kicked open. Open it for him. The lady said with a sullen face. Hee, don't worry, Zhou Jiejia. I didn't like her very much. You are more annoying than her. Yang Ming said viciously. Originally, Yang Ming didn't hate Zhou Jiejia so much. With their current relationship, it wasn't bad to be friends. But now, Zhou Jiejia's mother inexplicably appeared and slandered Yang Ming for having an affair with her daughter. This made Yang Ming very upset. Who am I? A rag picker. Why would I want a bad girl like Zhou Jiejia who ruined my life? Even if I wanted her, Suya wouldn't be willing. Therefore, Yang Ming decided that after he went back, he would draw a clear line with this bad girl. Yang Ming didn't intend to be wronged again. This kind of feeling was really too strange. If I really had something with Zhou Jiejia, Yang Ming would accept it. Then, she would be my mother-in-law. Whether she scolded me or despised me, I couldn't say anything. But what is this now? Yang Ming was depressed for a while. Yang Ming was depressed. Zhou Jiejia's mother was also very depressed. What does this kid mean? Why is he so rude? Could it be that he doesn't want to climb up the social ladder? But anyway, Mother Zhou felt that she still had to find a husband for her daughter as soon as possible. Otherwise, this kid still has a chance. Wang Jitao saw the way Zhou Jiejia looked at Yang Ming today. He felt uncomfortable in his heart. After returning to the dormitory, the more he thought about it, the more uncomfortable it felt. This Yang Ming, what is so good about him? Why am I always the one who gets hurt? However, Wang Jitao couldn't do anything. He really couldn't find any way to retaliate against Yang Ming. Moreover, Wang Jitao had recently warned Wang Jitao to be low-key. He didn't even allow him to drive the Honda Accord out. He said that the higher-ups were investigating closely. Huang Yukai was asked by the police to understand the situation. Why were they looking for Huang Yukai? In fact, the police paid attention to Huang Youcai's accident. In fact, the accident had nothing to do with the smuggled car, so Huang Yukai didn't reveal any flaws. He was able to fool the police with a few words. As for other things, he didn't know anything at all. However, if Huang Yukai didn't say anything, Su Daji couldn't guarantee it. Because Huang Yukai had just been taken away by the police, Su Daji called Wang Shifan. He was so flustered that he was afraid that the police would find him. He also tried to persuade Wang Shifan to surrender. Wang Shifan was so angry. I'm not even panicking. Why are you panicking? However, after all, he was his brother-in-law. Wang Shifan couldn't say anything. However, Wang Shifan didn't say anything. Huang Yukai was a little worried. President Wang, Su Daji's mouth is too unreliable. Huang Yukai just came out of the police station and began to plot with Wang Shifan. Why do you say that? Wang Shifan was also a little guilty. I'm fine. What kind of situation haven't I, Huang Yukai, seen before? After going in, I will say what should be said. I won't say anything that shouldn't be said. But, Su Daji can't guarantee it. Huang Yukai said, if he goes in, who knows if he can spit out everything about us through coercion and bribery. Damn, I'm really a little worried when you say this. If I knew, I wouldn't let this kid know so many things. Wang Shifan said, what do we do now? What do we do? It's actually very simple. Huang Yukai smiled. Let him run away. Wang Shifan hesitated and said, it's hard to say to my wife. Besides, the police are investigating so strictly now. Can he run away? President Wang, sometimes you are too soft-hearted. Huang Yukai shook his head. What kind of situation is it now? Do you still need to consider others? We are now committing a big crime of smuggling. If we are caught, we will lose our heads. Then, should I talk to him? Wang Shifan thought about it and said, why don't we go to Su Daji's place and persuade him to run away? Okay, let's go. Give him some money from the finance department. Huang Yukai reminded. Yes, you go and do it. Withdraw 100,000 yuan from the finance department. Wang Shifan said. Okay, President Wang, I will do it now. Huang Yukai replied, but he sneered in his heart. This money, I'm afraid I will get it back the same way I took it. Su Daji, you don't have the blessing to enjoy it anymore. Out of Wang Shifan's office, Wang Yukai controlled the automatic wheelchair and went to the finance department. Wang Shifan had already made a phone call, so Huang Yukai went directly and got 100,000 yuan. After getting the money, Huang Yukai called Wang Shifan. Wang Shifan had already gone downstairs first. The less people knew about this, the better, so Wang Shifan drove himself and didn't bring a driver. In the elevator, Huang Yukai called Su Daji. People are in the underworld. Sometimes they have to be ruthless. President Wang's heart is still not black enough. Hello, Su Daji. I am Huang Yukai. Huang Yukai picked up the phone seriously. Oh. Brother Yukai, how are you? I heard that you were just released from the police station. Su Daji asked nervously. I am out. Huang Yukai said in a low tone, the situation isn't very good. The police have already understood part of the situation, then, can we both be fine? Su Daji was most concerned about himself, but he couldn't ask directly, so he asked if he and Huang Yukai were fine. If Huang Yukai was fine, then he definitely wouldn't be in any trouble. It's not very optimistic. Those cars were sold from your hands. Probably, when something really happens, President Wang will push the blame to you. Huang Yukai said seriously, so, you have to be careful. Aw. No way. He's my brother-in-law. He won't harm me, right? Su Daji asked. Brother-in-law. Huang Yukai sneered. This is an imminent disaster. If he doesn't push the blame to you, he will lose his own head. Husband and wife are birds in the same forest. When a disaster arrives, they will fly separately. Haven't you heard of this before? This. Su Daji was originally timid. After listening to Huang Yukai, he was immediately scared. Brother Yukai, what should I do? I'm scared. Doesn't that mean I'm dead meat? AI. Not to mention you, I can't even protect myself. Throw away the rook to save the king. This is the truth that has never changed. I pity both of us. Huang Yukai said with some sadness. Then, that means there is no hope. Su Daji was anxious. His voice had a sobbing tone. This is not to say that there is no hope. There is a way, but I can't tell you now. Huang Yukai hesitated. Brother Yukai. Brother, if you have a good idea, you have to tell your brother. You can't just watch me die. Su Daji said quickly, we are now grasshoppers on the same rope. Brother Yukai, you can't just ignore me. It's not that I don't care about you, but your relationship with President Wang, brother-in-law, TSK. I don't dare to say. Huang Yukai continued to whet Su Daji's appetite. Motherfucker, you are going to push me out. What brother-in-law? Brother-in-law, his motherfucking dog shit. Su Daji cursed anxiously. It depends on whether you dare to put righteousness before family. Huang Yukai hesitated for a long time and said this sentence. Put righteousness before family. What do you mean? Su Daji's IQ still didn't respond. Both of us will go to the police station to surrender. Said Huang Yukai. Surrender? Is that okay? Isn't that courting death? Su Daji was stunned. What courting death? What crime are we guilty of? We are just running errands, not the behind-the-scenes mastermind. If we surrender, we are just accomplices. If we talk about President Wang's matter, it is called redeeming ourselves. Then, when we go to court, we will act as witnesses. Then, we will definitely be given a lighter sentence. Huang Yukai continued to instigate. At that time, we may be given a suspended sentence or something. Really? Su Daji was surprised after listening. You said that not only will we not die, but we may also be given a suspended sentence. Nonsense, we didn't do the smuggling. Why would we be sentenced to death? Huang Yukai said with a glare. You are right. This is a good idea. Su Daji was happy. Then, let's surrender. And, you listen to me now. When I called you, I used an encrypted channel. Your cell phone isn't high-end. It doesn't have this function. Huang Yukai said, you must not make any more calls. President Wang has already monitored your phone and yours. Do you know that? I know. I won't call. Su Daji said quickly. And President Wang is a ruthless person. You know it. Huang Yukai said, if you let him know that you have this idea, then you are finished. Chapter 495. I understand, Brother Yukai. No matter how stupid I am, I don't dare to joke with my life. Su Daji nodded. You tell me. What should I do? You go downstairs now and wait for me at the entrance of the police station near your home. I will go now. Let's turn ourselves in together, said Huang Yukai. And, okay, I will go now, said Su Daji. Okay, see you later, said Huang Yukai. Hanging up the phone, Huang Yukai smiled. Downstairs, they came to the underground parking lot under the group. Wang Shifan had already driven out a very broken Audi 100 sedan. This car was probably scrapped. The sound of the engine wasn't good. Get in the car. Wang Shifan jumped out from the driver's seat, then opened the door of the front passenger seat and helped Huang Yukai in. Huang Yukai quickly said, thank you, President Wang. Sorry to trouble you to help me. What are you talking about? This is also a work injury, said Wang Shifan indifferently. This car was covered with a fake foreign license plate, so he wasn't afraid of being noticed by others. The car went to Su Daji's hiding place. On the way, Wang Shifan suddenly received a phone call. Hello. What's the matter? Wang Shifan glanced at the incoming number and quickly picked up the phone. President Wang, Brother Su went downstairs. The person who called was the person Wang Shifan sent to secretly monitor Su Daji. Of course, Su Daji hadn't done anything yet, so he still called Su Daji as Brother Su. After all, this person was President Wang's brother-in-law. Went downstairs. What is he going downstairs for? Didn't we buy enough daily necessities and food for him for a week? Wang Shifan frowned. I don't know. What should I do now? Asked the underling on the phone. And, you follow him first, see what he is going to do. Keep in touch at all times, said Wang Shifan. Hanging up the phone, Wang Shifan said to Huang Yukai, Su Daji went downstairs. I don't know what this guy is going to do. Went downstairs. Huang Yukai pretended to be surprised. No way. Didn't we prepare daily necessities and enough food for him? Besides, there is everything there. Cable TV and a computer are given to him. He doesn't lack anything to play with, right? That's what I'm talking about. So, I have people keep an eye on him. Wang Shifan said with some doubts. President Wang, is this guy going to turn himself in or something? Huang Yukai suddenly turned his face and said seriously. Surrender. It shouldn't be. If he surrenders himself, it won't be a small matter. Wang Shifan was stunned. He isn't that mentally ill, right? It's hard to say. I don't think this guy is a tough nut to crack. Huang Yukai said, moreover, his matter is much smaller than ours. If something happens to us, we will definitely lose our heads. That guy shouldn't be sentenced too heavily, motherfucker. When you say this, I'm really a little worried. Wang Shifan said worriedly, this guy can't really turn himself in, right? It's hard to say. Huang Yukai shook his head solemnly. President Wang, let's hurry up. Don't let anything bad happen. Wang Shifan said as he changed gears again and accelerated to the hiding place of Su Daji. When he was about to reach Su Daji's downstairs, the phone rang again. Wang Shifan picked up the phone. Hello. Wang Shifan just said the word hello and was interrupted by the other party. Not good, President Wang. It was the call from the underling who was responsible for guarding Su Daji. What's wrong? Why are you in such a panic? Wang Shifan's heart suddenly had a bad premonition, but he still said calmly, what the hell is going on? Speak slowly. Su Daji is walking in the direction of the police station. The underling exclaimed. What did you say? Wang Shifan was shocked. Are you sure? He is wandering in front of the police station. The underling said in a hurry. Motherfucker. Wang Shifan slammed the steering wheel and looked at Huang Yukai. This kid is really going to turn himself in. President Wang. Huang Yukai suddenly said, you can't hesitate anymore. Those who achieve great things don't care about trivial matters. If this drags on, you and I will be finished. Then, what do you think we should do? Wang Shifan was shocked. I actually had the intention to kill. He didn't dare to think about it. He quickly asked Huang Youcai's idea. President Wang, you can't be indecisive now. Huang Yukai said, this guy, Su Daji, is a ticking time bomb. If we don't eliminate the root of the problem, it will be a big trouble sooner or later. Ah. Wang Shifan was shocked. What do you mean? Yes. Huang Yukai made a gesture on his neck. Now there is no choice. Either he dies, or we are finished. But, is there no other way? Wang Shifan was moved. He had just had the intention to kill. Now, he was instigated by Huang Yukai. He was more determined to get rid of Su Daji. Only the dead can't talk. Huang Yukai said faintly. Wang Shifan was silent. President Wang, there is no time. You think about it. If you have an accident, what should Wang Jitao do? He is still in school. Huang Yukai saw that Wang Shifan was hesitating. He had to mention Wang Jitao. Okay. When Wang Shifan heard the name of Wang Jitao, he finally nodded and said, kill him. After that, Wang Shifan picked up the phone and dialed the phone number of his underling. You make Su Daji unconscious, and then find a hidden place to wait for me. Understood, President Wang. The underling was a member of the Wang family's secret force, the Wang family special forces. His master was the kind of people like Hun Tianba and Fei Tianqi, so it was easy to make Su Daji unconscious. AI. Wang Shifan sighed. After all, the person who was going to kill was his own brother-in-law. Wang Shifan's heart was still somewhat uncomfortable. If it were someone else, Wang Shifan wouldn't have such a sense of guilt. President Wang, we have to focus on the overall situation. For Wang Jitao. Huang Yukai kept fanning the flames. I understand. Wang Shifan nodded and started the car. He came to the agreed place with the underling. He quickly put the fainted Su Daji in the back seat of the car. After explaining a few words to the underling, he quickly drove away from here. West Star Mountain, an abandoned construction site. President Wang, why are you still hesitating at this time? Just stab him to death. Huang Yukai sat in a folding wheelchair and looked at Su Daji on the ground. Or, after he wakes up, I will ask him. Ask him what he was going to do at the police station. Wang Shifan said with some reluctance. President Wang, do you still need to ask? Of course, he is going to the police station to surrender himself. Otherwise, why would he go to the police station? Huang Yukai certainly didn't want Su Daji to wake up. No. I have to ask him. After all, he is my brother-in-law. I can't be so hasty. Wang Shifan finally shook his head and said. Well, I will wake him up. Huang Yukai hesitated and then leaned over. He held a dagger in his right hand and patted Su Daji's face with his left hand. Daji, wake up. How did you fall asleep? Hurry up and wake up. Oh. Su Daji was touched by Huang Yukai. He woke up in a daze. He looked up and saw Huang Yukai. Then he said, How did I fall asleep? Aren't I going to surrender myself? Surrender yourself. You want to surrender yourself? After listening to Su Daji's words, Wang Shifan immediately jumped up. Wang. President Wang. Why are you here? Su Daji suddenly heard Wang Shifan's voice and was immediately shocked. Brother Yukai, what is going on? You. Huang Yukai was shocked. He waved his right hand and stabbed Su Daji's chest. He shouted, President Wang treated you well. He even gave you 100,000 yuan. You actually did this to him. Then, I'm sorry. You. Huang Yukai. Su Daji widened his eyes and looked at Huang Yukai in shock and anger. Shwa, shwa, shwa. After 3 stabs, Su Daji finally died with his eyes wide open. President Wang, you can't do it. I will be the bad guy. Huang Yukai pretended to be righteous and said, I didn't expect Su Daji to be such a person, forget it. You did the right thing. I really can't do it. Wang Shifan shook his head. Let's quickly clean up the scene and then leave here. President Wang, my legs are not good. I can only hand over the work of digging the hole to you. Huang Yukai said apologetically. What are you talking about? Yukai, you are a trustworthy person. From today onwards, we will advance and retreat together. If there is a day when something really happens to me, take care of Jitao for me. Wang Shifan said with emotion. Chapter 496. President Wang, what are you talking about? If something really happens, I, Huang Yukai, will definitely cover for you first. Huang Yukai listened to Wang Shifan's words and immediately got a little excited. Although Huang Yukai liked to play dirty, he also knew that Wang Shifan was kind to him. Wang Shifan didn't treat him like an outsider. Wang Shifan gave him a lot of the money he earned from smuggling in the past few years. Moreover, Huang Yukai was also a person above everyone else in the company. So no matter what Huang Yukai did, his starting point was still for Wang Shifan's good. You can't do it. Wang Shifan shook his head. When that day comes, they will definitely look for me. No one will believe that you, a secretary, can do so many things. So, Yukai, you listen well. If there is a day when something happens to me, I will take all the blame and leave you clean. You don't have to admit anything and insist that it has nothing to do with you. President Wang, how can this be? If something happens, we will advance and retreat together. Huang Yukai said quickly. Yukai, you listen to me first. Wang Shifan waved his hand and stopped Huang Yukai from continuing. Wang Jitao is still a child. He can't have no one to take care of him. If something really happens to me, you will help me take care of him and raise him up. The Wang's group will be left to him, I understand, President Wang. Huang Yukai nodded solemnly. Wang Shifan dragged Su Daji's body and came to a small foundation that had been half built before. Then, he was going to push Su Daji's body down. Wait! Huang Yukai said quickly. What's wrong? Wang Shifan was stunned. Look at the things on his body. Is there anything that can expose his identity? Huang Yukai said. And you are still thoughtful. Wang Shifan nodded and quickly searched Su Daji's body. Huang Yukai also followed him to search. Sure enough, they found Su Daji's wallet in his pocket with his ID card and several business cards. Wang Shifan threw the wallet to Huang Yukai. Take it back to the company and destroy it. Understood. Huang Yukai nodded cautiously and put away the wallet. He searched Su Daji's body back and forth several times before he nodded to Wang Shifan. Done. Wang Shifan sighed. Then, he pushed Su Daji's body down and covered it with some broken building materials. By the time the corpse was discovered, it would have rotted away by the beginning of spring. However, Huang Yukai, who was so cautious, made a fatal mistake. He neglected some small details. Yang Ming got off from Zhou Jiajia's mother's RV and went straight to the school's main teaching building. He wanted to see the notice of the winter camp that Qin Mengyan mentioned. When they arrived near the main teaching building, Yang Ming saw the notice of the winter camp. There were also a few students nearby. It was a rather large poster, and it was quite eye-catching. Zhang Bin immediately said happily, "That's great. You have to ask for me quickly. Tomorrow is the exam." "Okay, I will call you now and ask." Yang Ming nodded and said, "Please. If it's done, I will treat you." Zhang Bin said happily. "If it's done, you will pay for all the expenses of the winter camp." Yang Ming said with a smile. "Fuck, you are richer than me, kid, but this is a different matter. I have no opinion." Zhang Bin laughed and hung up the phone. Yang Ming searched his phone for a long time but couldn't find Zhang Weihan's number. He probably didn't save his number after he changed his phone. Yang Ming had no choice but to call Lu Weishan. Now that Zhang Weihan was Lu Weishan's student, Lu Weishan must have his contact information. Sure enough, Lu Weishan just asked a few words and gave Zhang Weihan's phone number to Yang Ming. Yang Ming dialed it directly. "Brother Yang, what are you looking for me for?" Zhang Weihan heard the voice of Yang Ming and immediately became very enthusiastic. "Brother Zhang, I am calling you today because I really have something to trouble you." Yang Ming said. "What trouble? You've helped me so much. It's only right that you ask me for help. If there's anything you need, just say the word. If I can do it, I won't hesitate." Zhang Weihan patted his chest and promised. During this time, Zhang Weihan wanted to thank Yang Ming, but he also knew that Yang Ming's godfather was Lu Weishan. There were really few places where he could use him. Instead, he might need Yang Ming in the future. Therefore, now that he heard that Yang Ming wanted to ask him for help, he was immediately very happy. Then I won't be polite." Yang Ming said with a smile, "This is the case. My good buddy is in the economics department. He is afraid that he will fail the final exam, so he asked Brother Zhang if you have any connections." Economics department. I am familiar with it. Those graduate students who mark the papers are my buddies. This is definitely not a problem. Zhang Weihan smiled after listening. "It's a piece of cake. You tell me your student ID. I guarantee that I will pass all of them." "Thank you very much, Brother Zhang. I thank you on behalf of my buddy." Yang Ming said, "If you need any favors, just say it." "Little Brother Yang, what are you saying? Isn't this a slap to my face? Don't say that I have connections. Even if I don't, I will go and find one for you myself. You don't have to worry about favors." Zhang Weihan pretended to be angry. "Isn't your buddy my buddy? Okay, then I won't argue. My buddy and I will treat you to a meal later." Yang Ming didn't insist anymore. He knew that Zhang Weihan was grateful to him and owed him a favor. He sincerely wanted to help him. Otherwise, his heart wouldn't be at ease. Okay, I will treat you later. Zhang Weihan nodded. Text me your student ID later. Yang Ming smiled bitterly and shook his head. He didn't expect it to be so easy. Therefore, he returned a call to Zhang Bin to tell him the good news. After he got his student ID, he sent it to Zhang Weihan. This made Zhang Bin very happy. During the class, he kept giggling. If he didn't fail the exam, Zhang Jifang would definitely reward him. Chapter 497. That night, the conflict at the entrance of the Nightless Club couldn't be calmed down after all. In the end, things escalated. That night, Bao Sanli's men took Guo Dongchuan to a place where no one was and gave him a hard beating. Of course, this hard beating meant that Guo Dongchuan had to lie in the hospital bed for at least a month. How could Guo Dongchuan swallow this? No matter what, he was still the underworld prince of Jiduan City. He was actually humiliated in Songjiang City. After Guo Jinbiao, the boss of Jiduan City, knew that his son had an accident, he was so angry that he slammed the table. He directly called Sun Hongjuan's desk. Boss Sun, do you care about this matter? Guo Jinbiao told about the humiliation that Guo Dongchuan had suffered in Songjiang City. This. Boss Guo, I really can't care about this matter. Sun Hongjun smiled secretly, but his tone was very serious. This matter didn't happen in Donghai. If it happened in Donghai, I will definitely give you an explanation, but Songjiang isn't within my sphere of influence. Humph, motherfucker. Isn't there a Bao Sanli in Songjiang? He's just a little punk. How dare he be so arrogant in front of me? Who does he think he is? When I first came out, he didn't even know where to play with mud. Guo Jinbiao scolded, Songjiang really doesn't have any capable people. How did he appear? Old Guo, that is someone else's territory after all. In my opinion, Guo Dongchuan must have been impolite in this matter. Otherwise, they wouldn't give him such a heavy beating. Sun Hongjun advised. Humph, Boss Sun, you really don't feel the pain when you are standing there. The one who was beaten wasn't your son. Guo Jinbiao said coldly, if you don't care, then don't blame me for being impolite. I will avenge this hatred. I hope Boss Sun won't intervene at that time. So, you decided. You want to attack Songjiang? Sun Hongjun asked in a deep voice. If I don't attack him, my heart can't be calm. Said Guo Jinbiao. Well, I won't interfere with either of you. This is all I can do. Sun Hongjun said faintly. That's good. Humph, Bao Sanli, who do you think you are? Guo Jinbiao scolded again. Sun Hongjun snickered in his heart. This is the result I want. You want me not to intervene. I'm eager to hide far away. I'm afraid that you will ask me for help. Bao Sanli. Sun Hongjun shook his head. Guo Jinbiao had definitely underestimated this person. Since Bao Sanli could drive the Four Snakes gang out of Songjiang, it showed that he had his own strengths. Moreover, Sun Hongjun hadn't figured out the new Hojinhan yet. So, in short, the forces in Songjiang were very complicated. It wasn't as simple as Guo Jinbiao thought. In fact, on that night, Bao Sanli also learned the true identity of Guo Dongchuan from Hojinhan. However, he had already fought. It was impossible to admit his mistake now. Moreover, this matter couldn't be blamed on his side. It was Guo Dongchuan who started the trouble first. Bao Sanli just returned the favor. However, Bao Sanli and Hojinhan also understood that it was impossible for Guo Jinbiao to give up. After all, this was not only a matter of face, but the most important thing was that the person who was beaten was his son, the underworld crown prince of Jiduan City. Therefore, when Gui Jinbiao found someone to negotiate with Bao Sanli was not surprised. What do we do now? Does the boss know about this? Bao Sanli wasn't afraid of Gui Jinbiao. So what if you are the boss of Jiduan City? A strong dragon can't suppress a local snake. What's more, you are not a strong dragon at all. Jiduan City is only half the size of Songjiang. The boss naturally doesn't like a reckless person like Gui Jinbiao. He asked us to do as we see fit. Ho Jinhan smiled. Then, do we see him? Bao Sanli was now accustomed to listening to Ho Jinhan's instructions. He wants to see us by sending a soldier. What an international joke. Ho Jinhan sneered. Let's also send a soldier to talk to him. And, Brother Ho, you can make the decision. Bao Sanli also knew that his brain was not suitable for this kind of reciprocity, so he simply did not participate. This kid, Bai Hai, has a good brain. He is good enough. Let him go. Ho Jinhan hesitated and said. In the afternoon, Bai Hai was instructed by Ho Jinhan to bring Sun Haoming to the negotiation site. Originally, Xingzi, who was sent by Gui Jinbiao to negotiate, was full of ambition because Gui Jinbiao had infinitely exaggerated himself and belittled Bao Sanli before he left. In Xingzi's view, Bao Sanli was just an incompetent little punk. However, when Xingzi came to Songjiang and saw how prosperous Songjiang was, he felt that something was wrong. When he saw the majestic signboard of the Mingyang Security Company, he felt a little guilty. Moreover, after arriving here, although they received him and served him good tea and water, he did not see anyone for the whole morning. No matter who he asked, they said that they did not know and were irresponsible. In other people's territory, Xingzi did not dare to be rash. He had to sit there and wait until 2:00 in the afternoon. He saw a cold and arrogant person come in. These two people were Bai Hai and Sun Haoming. Are you sent by Gui Jinbiao to negotiate? Bai Hai glanced at Xingzi and asked coldly. I am. Which one is Brother Bao? Xingzi thought that one of these two people was Bao Sanli. Ha 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 ha. Sun Haoming suddenly laughed. Brother Bao. Who do you think you are? You want Brother Bao to see you in person. You. Xingzi's face immediately turned ugly, but he still forced himself to endure. I am here to negotiate on behalf of Brother Bao. I hope you can show some sincerity. Sincerity? How are we not sincere? Bai Hai sneered. Gui Jinbiao sent you alone, but we have two people to talk to you. We have given you enough face. But Brother Bao is not coming. Xingzi asked with some unwillingness. Gui Jinbiao told him that he must talk to Bao Sanli in person and let him scare Bao Sanli. If he did not agree to his conditions, he would start a war. What is Brother Bao doing here? Is Gui Jinbiao here? If he comes in person, then consider meeting with Brother Bao. Sun Haoming scolded impatiently. He is already giving you face by coming to see you. Don't dawdle there. If you have something to say, just say it. This. Xingzi didn't expect that the other party would speak so harshly. It was a little unexpected. Before he left, Gui Jinbiao had analyzed to him that after he came here, this side would definitely tremble with fear and treat him as a guest of honor. He didn't expect that they didn't take him seriously at all. What do you mean by this and that? Are you okay? If you are okay, then get out of here. Don't waste time here. Sun Haoming said with a glare. What kind of negotiation attitude is this? Aren't you afraid that because of this matter, it will cause a conflict between our two gangs? Xingzi had to force himself to say so. What attitude? Are you kidding me? Little rascal, now you are negotiating with us, not the other way around. There is a problem with your position. Bai Hai also said, conflict. Hee, it doesn't matter. If you want to start a war directly, we don't need to talk. You can get out of here. Xingzi was so angry that he was trembling a little, but he also knew that his purpose was to negotiate and not to quarrel, so he held back his anger and said, well, then let's negotiate now. Let's talk. Bai Hai said casually, and then told Sun Haoming, you go and get some melon seeds. This kid looks like a person who wastes time. I don't know how long it will take. Xingzi was so angry that he almost smoked, but now he was enduring. He was almost like a ninja turtle. Your people seriously injured our brother Biao's young master. Xingzi just opened his mouth and was interrupted by Bai Hai. What young master? Tell me more clearly, who is it? Bai Hai pretended to be confused. It's Guo Dongchuan, the person you beat up last night. Xingzi had no choice but to explain. Oh, you are talking about that idiot. I know. Bai Hai nodded and said, yes, that idiot was acting cool with Brother Bao and Brother Ho, so he was beaten up. What's the problem? If you want to apologize to us, then forget it. We are very generous. Besides, that idiot also got the lesson he deserved. Xingzi listened to Bai Hai's words, and his nose was crooked. Did they think that I was here to apologize? Is there anything else? If there is nothing else, then forget it. We are great people who don't mind petty people. Just don't let that kid come to Songjiang City to show off in the future. Bai Hai waved and said. It didn't take long for Zhao Sisi to come. Apparently, Zhang Bin had contacted her in advance. What are you studying? Zhao Sisi asked as she put her arm around Zhang Bin's arm. We are talking about the winter camp. Do you want to go? Chen Mengyan hesitated for a moment, but she still followed Zhao Sisi's example and put her arm around Yang Ming's arm. Girls are sometimes very reserved, but if there is a comparable reference next to them, then they will be bolder than anyone else. Chen Mengyan originally thought that college students should avoid dating on campus, but when she saw Zhao Sisi and Zhang Bin being so close, Chen Mengyan suddenly felt that it was nothing. Everyone is like this. Why should I pretend to be a good girl? Of course, I want to go. I'm just afraid that my Zhang Bin won't live up to expectations. Zhao Sisi shook her head helplessly. We are all from the same high school. You are very clear about Zhang Bin's academic performance. I'm just afraid that he will fail the exam. Ha, dear, I definitely won't fail the exam. The problem has been solved. Zhang Bin smiled. Why? Are you confident? Didn't you say you couldn't do it at noon? Zhao Sisi said strangely. Hee, Yang Ming asked a friend for help. That friend knows the graduate student who marks the papers in our department. When they mark my papers, they will be more relaxed. Isn't it fine? Zhang Bin explained. Really? Zhao Sisi immediately showed a surprised expression after listening. That's great. If that's the case, then let's sign up together after the exam the day after tomorrow. Zhang Bin didn't lie. Today, he invited Yang Ming and the others to a Xinjiang barbecue restaurant. The taste was very authentic. They ate very happily. After the meal, because the exam was at 8:00 tomorrow morning, they didn't arrange any other activities and went back to school directly. Yang Ming was really sleepy. He almost didn't sleep last night. When he returned to the dormitory, he fell asleep immediately. The exam on the second day went smoothly. The exam in the first semester of freshman year didn't involve many subjects. For a computer science student like Yang Ming, he only took 2 professional courses, basic computer operation and computer composition principles. He didn't even touch on programming. The other subjects were some common subjects, such as university Chinese, university chemistry, university writing standards, and practical writing. These were relatively simple courses. Because he was a science and engineering student, the common subjects questions were very simple. Most of them were concept questions. Yang Ming could directly copy from the book. Practical writing asked him to write a letter to his family. It asked the student to tell his family about his feelings after going to university. For this kind of subject, as long as there were no problems in writing standards and no typos, he could generally get a good score. As for the basic computer operation, it was a mess. Yang Ming didn't need to copy the textbook or other people's and could answer smoothly. The slightly more difficult part was the computer composition principles, but it was a piece of cake for Yang Ming. In contrast, Yang Ming's special ability didn't come in handy. Yang Ming believed that even if he answered by himself, he could answer 80% to 90%. Using his special ability just made him more confident. However, Yang Ming also secretly made up his mind. The courses in the first semester of freshman year were simple, so he just muddled through it. But in the second semester of freshman year, when programming was opened, Yang Ming also planned to study seriously. After all, 80 by 86 assembly language and C language were very useful in the future. Yang Ming's side was smooth, but Zhang Bin's side wasn't so smooth. Zhang Bin wasn't the kind of person who liked to memorize things by rote. A few financial oligarchs, limited liability companies, and unlimited liability companies confused him, but Zhang Bin remembered Yang Ming's words. He wrote what he knew, and he didn't write what he didn't know. Don't write nonsense. In this way, he muddled through 2 days of the exam. Chen Mengyan was originally a good student. Memorization was her strength, so there was no need to ask. Her grades were definitely good. Zhao Sisi was also a diligent student, so there shouldn't be a big problem. After the exam ended, Yang Ming quickly called Zhang Weihan again to remind him. He was afraid that Zhang Weihan would forget. However, Zhang Weihan assured Yang Ming that this matter had been done. Zhang Bin's first few results were out, and all were okay. After Yang Ming thanked him, he was relieved. He told Zhang Bin about this matter, and this guy was also very happy. The efficiency of the university's grading was quite high. The night after the exam, you could check your results through the campus network. The students' transcripts were also sent to their parents through the post office. Therefore, many students who failed were destined to have a bad year. Although it wasn't like when you failed an exam when you were a child, you had to wait for a big belt and a big broom, but at least you had to be reprimanded. The reason why the results were out so quickly was not that the teacher had any secret to grading the papers, but there was a lot of free labor. For example, the graduate students in the department were sent by the supervisor to grade the papers every time the final exam came. No one dared to say no. Sure enough, when Zhang Bin checked his results, he was so happy that he passed all of them. Although some of them only scored a little more than 60 points, in this era where passing was a waste of time, 60 points was the most fortunate. After printing the transcripts at the student office, Yang Ming and the other 3 came to the registration office of the winter camp. There weren't many people who came here to register. In the entire Songjiang Industry University, there were only about 10 people including Yang Ming and the other 3. The student union cadre in charge of the registration warmly received Yang Ming and the others. After they registered and verified the transcripts, he said, each person pays a fee of 200 yuan. If it's okay, I will issue the invoice. No problem. Zhang Bin nodded and took out his wallet to pay the bill. Yang Ming didn't fight with him because they had already discussed beforehand. Zhang Bin would treat. Chapter 499. The student union cadre gave the four of them an invoice and then instructed, gather at the school gate at 10:00 tomorrow morning. There will be a bus that will depart together. Our trip this time is relatively long. This is the map and precautions. You can go back and study it. Okay. Yang Ming took the map and precautions and nodded. Don't be late. The student union cadre advised. No problem. As Yang Ming spoke, he saw an acquaintance coming from the opposite side, but he obviously didn't notice Yang Ming. Instead, he went straight to the student union cadre and patted his shoulder. Tai Zi, thank you for today. Let's go. I will treat you to a meal. Hey, it's a small matter. The student union cadre said, Zhang Weihan, you don't have to be so polite with me. Lower your voice. I still have a guest here. Yang Ming. Zhang Weihan looked up and was suddenly stunned. Why are you here? Brother Zhang, my friend, and I came to sign up for the winter camp. He is the one who troubled you. Yang Ming pointed to Zhang Bin and said. Ha, aren't we going together? Zhang Weihan suddenly smiled. Zhang Bin, right? You should thank him. He is the one who settled it. Zhang Weihan pouted at the student union cadre. Ha, thank you. Buddy, let's go. Let's eat together. It's my treat. Zhang Bin said. Let's go. Let's go together. Zhang Weihan also wanted to get closer to Yang Ming. After all, he was under his godfather. Okay. This time, the student union cadre didn't refuse. He nodded and then introduced himself. My name is Li Guangquan. I am the secretary of the school's student union publicity department. Hello, my name is Yang Ming. This is my girlfriend, Chen Mengyan. Yang Ming smiled and shook hands with Li Guangquan, then introduced Chen Mengyan. Hee, sister-in-law is really beautiful. Brother, you're lucky. Li Guangquan had heard from Zhang Weihan that Yang Ming was Lu Weishan's godson. He wanted to apply for Lu Weishan's postgraduate program next year, so naturally, he wanted to build a relationship with Yang Ming. Zhang Bin, you should recognize me, right? Zhang Bin chuckled, this is my wife, Zhao Sisi. Ha! How could I not know you? You're quite crafty, aren't you? You even know to leave blank space on the paper for the questions that you don't know how to answer. This makes it easier for me to work. I just need to find someone with similar handwriting to add a few strokes for you. Li Guangquan praised without leaving a trace, I like to work for smart people. Some of them are so full of themselves that they obviously don't know how to write, but they still write blindly. When the time comes, it won't be easy to change. Zhang Bin glanced at Yang Ming and was a little embarrassed. He thought, Yang Ming is quite experienced in this matter. People who did something bad together could easily reach an alliance of interests. Therefore, because of Zhang Bin's matter, the relationship between several people began to be harmonious with a few words. During the meal, Yang Ming learned from Li Guangquan that tomorrow's winter camp was completely organized by the student union. There were no teachers participating, so everyone could play freely. Of course, this was the superficial meaning. The meaning was that there was no need to avoid anything between couples. They could just sleep together at night. This made Zhang Bin very happy, but Chen Mengyan lowered her head shyly. After the 6 people finished eating, they separated. Although Zhang Bin insisted on paying the bill, it was still Zhang Weihan who paid in the end. Yang Ming pulled Zhang Bin and didn't ask him to insist. After all, Zhang Bin sincerely wanted to treat. Zhang Bin drove the car and took Yang Ming and the other 2 to the supermarket near the school. They were ready to buy some necessities for tomorrow. Although the 200 yuan just now included the rent for food, accommodation, and equipment, girls like Zhao Sisi and Chen Mengyan inevitably bought some snacks. After parking the car, a group of 4 people entered the supermarket. Zhang Bin pushed a cart, but Yang Ming was empty-handed. Zhang Bin complained that it was unfair, but he couldn't do anything. As soon as Chen Mengyan and Zhao Sisi entered the supermarket, they went straight to the small food area. The 2 of them took a small basket each and crazily swept the goods. However, Yang Ming and Zhang Bin were more practical and bought some canned and plastic-sealed food. When the 2 of them passed by the daily necessities, Zhang Bin suddenly looked around and said, "Zhao Sisi didn't follow us, right?" "No, they are far away from you." Yang Ming casually looked with his X-ray vision. Chen Mengyan and Zhao Sisi were still in the small food area, studying which plums were delicious. "That's good." Zhang Bin smiled and took a box of condoms from the shelf. Then, he said to Yang Ming, "Do you want it?" "Ugh." Yang Ming sweated. "I don't seem to need this thing now, right?" In other words, Yang Ming really didn't buy this thing. Lan Ling said that she had her own way. Although Yang Ming didn't ask in detail, he thought that it should be related to her voodoo. However, Xiaoqing couldn't get pregnant, so Yang Ming simply didn't need this thing. "Ha, are you embarrassed with me?" Zhang Bin looked at Yang Ming with a sneer. "Cough cough, you also know that after Lan Ling left, Chen Mengyan and I haven't progressed to that step. What's the use of buying it?" Yang Ming had to explain. Xiaoqing's matter couldn't be mentioned to Zhang Bin. "Ha, it turned out to be like this. I was wondering why you had such an expression." "It's fine. Isn't this winter camp an opportunity? If you grasp it well, the matter between you and Chen Mengyan will definitely be settled." Zhang Bin smiled and said, "Yang Ming, Chen Mengyan and you have feelings for each other. You 2 have been together for a long time. Why haven't you made any substantial progress?" "Damn, you also know that because of Lan Ling last time, Mengyan and I were in a dilemma for a long time. Even if I want to, I need a chance." Yang Ming shrugged helplessly. "Then buy a box. It's better to be prepared," Zhang Bin said as he took a box from the shelf. "Jispin, ultra thin. It's very cool." Yang Ming was speechless for a while. He looked at the small box in Zhang Bin's hand and said, "I'll leave it with you first. Chen Mengyan and I haven't reached that step yet. If she sees that I have this, she might suspect that I have something with other women." "No problem." Zhang Bin directly settled the bill at the checkout counter in the supermarket and put it in the pocket of his coat. Yang Ming and Zhang Bin bought some things such as disposable gloves, disposable napkins, and napkins before they went to meet with Chen Mengyan. When they saw that Chen Mengyan and Zhao Sisi's baskets were sharp, they couldn't help but smile bitterly. It's only 2 days of winter camp. Can we eat with so many things bought? However, despite that, Yang Ming and Zhang Bin still took the shopping baskets and poured them all into the shopping cart. The 4 people pushed the cart together to the checkout counter and paid the bill. When they walked out of the supermarket's checkout counter, the alarm next to them suddenly made a sharp and harsh sound. A security guard immediately came over and stopped Zhang Bin, who passed by in front of him. "Sir, please wait." "What's the matter?" Zhang Bin was stunned and asked. "I suspect that you have the supermarket's goods on you. Please untie your coat and let me see if there is anything inside," the security guard said. "Damn, I spent money to buy so many things. How can I steal your things?" Zhang Bin frowned and pointed to a few big bags in the shopping cart. "Do you think I am a person who can't afford to spend money?" Sir, I didn't mean that. I didn't say that you stole things. It's just that the alarm sounded, so I have to check according to the supermarket's regulations. Please don't make it difficult for me." The security guard looked at Zhang Bin's clothes and the things he bought. This person really didn't look like a thief, so he spoke politely. Looking at the little security guard's sad face, Zhang Bin really didn't want to make it difficult for him. He was also paid to work. Zhang Bin knew that it was useless to make it difficult for him. How do you want to check? Zhang Bin asked helplessly. You take off your coat, and then walk through the magnetic fence again. The little security guard said, Sir, you can think about it again. Is there anything in your pocket that hasn't been paid for, or the goods that have been paid for but haven't been handed out through the cashier's special channel? Ah. Even the things that have been paid for inside are not allowed. Zhang Bin touched the back of his head and suddenly remembered that he had 2 boxes of condoms in his pocket. The things that have been paid for are not allowed. You must hand them over to the cashier for inspection. The little security guard explained. Then can I not take them out? Zhang Bin felt a little embarrassed. I'm afraid that's not possible. The little security guard was even more embarrassed. Sir, if it is something that has been paid for, you can just take it out for inspection. What are you afraid of? But my things. Zhang Bin looked at Zhao Sisi. Although the 2 people already had a relationship, it would be strange if Zhao Sisi wasn't angry when Zhang Bin took out 2 boxes of condoms in public. Chapter 500. Sir, please cooperate. The little security guard looked at Zhang Bin and said. Okay. Zhang Bin gritted his teeth. He reluctantly took out 2 boxes of condoms from his coat pocket and handed them to the little security guard. The top was sealed with a special bag, so it was hard to see what was inside. Chen Mengyan and Zhao Sisi were curious why Zhang Bin insisted on not taking out the things, but because the bag was blurred, they couldn't see what was inside. Do you have a shopping receipt? The little security guard took a look at the bag and then handed it to the cashier. Yes. Zhang Bin took out the shopping receipt from his pocket and handed it to the little security guard. 2 boxes of Jispin brand ultra-thin condoms, right? The little security guard read aloud to the cashier. Yes. The cashier looked at the small bag in his hand and then returned it to Zhang Bin. I'm sorry, sir, for delaying your time. Zhang Bin's face turned green at the moment. Motherfucker, will you die if you don't read it out loud? Zhang Bin stared at the little security guard fiercely. If looks could kill, this little security guard would be dead. Humph, Zhao Sisi snorted with a gloomy face and ran away quickly. Wasn't this too embarrassing in front of so many people? Zhao Sisi. Zhang Bin chased after her helplessly. What happened to them? The young security guard looked at Zhang Bin and Zhao Sisi, who had run away, with a baffled expression as he muttered to himself. You should pray. If my buddy's girlfriend is gone, he will go to your house in the middle of the night. Yang Ming also patted the little security guard's shoulder helplessly. Then he pushed the shopping cart and walked to the underground parking lot of the supermarket with Chen Mengyan. Zhang Bin, this guy is really unlucky, hee hee. Yang Ming smiled. Did he buy those 2 boxes himself? Chen Mengyan suddenly raised her head and looked at Yang Ming from the side. Her expression was full of ridicule. Ah, right? Yang Ming was stunned and said awkwardly, of course he bought it. Don't we still have the receipt? He wouldn't do something like stealing. I'm not talking about that. Chen Mengyan looked at Yang Ming with a faint smile and said, I'm saying that he bought 2 boxes by himself. Maybe. He's more courageous. Yang Ming would rather die than admit that there was a box of his own. Really? Forget it then. Chen Mengyan shook her head. What's over? Yang Ming was confused. Mengyan, what are you talking about? It's nothing. I wanted to give you a chance, but since you don't want to fight for it, then forget it. Chen Mengyan winked playfully. You mean? Yang Ming wasn't stupid. After listening to Chen Mingyan's words, he immediately thought of something else. He was delighted. I didn't say anything. Chen Mingyan pinched Yang Ming's waist and said, let's go quickly, okay, hee. Yang Ming also realized something. Since Chen Mingyan now acquiesced, then his opportunity would come tomorrow. Originally, he thought that Zhang Bin and Zhao Sisi were quarreling. When he came to the parking lot, he saw the two people talking and laughing beside the car. Yang Ming wondered for a while. These two people are so weird. Isn't it too fast to turn hostile? Moreover, the two of them turned hostile together. However, after knowing the reason, Yang Ming was furious. It turned out that Zhang Bin actually told Zhao Sisi that the 2 boxes of condoms were bought by Yang Ming. He was too embarrassed to take them out in front of Chen Mingyan, so he had to leave them with Zhang Bin. However, Yang Ming thought about it later. There was indeed a box that belonged to him. It wasn't Zhang Bin's nonsense, so he didn't pursue his responsibility. The 4 people drove back to the university. Zhang Bin suddenly suggested, Zhao Sisi, why don't you stay in our dormitory today? How can that be? Zhao Sisi was stunned. Zhang Bin, what are you talking about? Ugh, what I mean is that we are leaving tomorrow. If we stay together, it is convenient to leave together. Zhang Bin looked at Zhao Sisi's expression, so he explained. Sometimes it was like this. Girls had their own reservations. Zhao Sisi's face didn't have any expression of disgust, which meant that she didn't reject Zhang Bin's suggestion. I see. Zhao Sisi was a little moved. After all, she was busy with the exam. She didn't have much time to be intimate with Zhang Bin. So, she looked up at Chen Mingyan. Mingyan, what do you think? Why are you asking me? If you want to go, just go. Chen Mingyan joked. Of course, I have to ask you. If you go, I will go. Zhao Sisi said with some reservation. After all, if Chen Mingyan wanted to go, Zhao Sisi could go with her. 2 people were much more generous than 1 person. What does this have to do with me? Chen Mingyan's face was slightly red. She glanced at Yang Ming. Seeing that Yang Ming was also looking at her with anticipation, Chen Mingyan was suddenly a little moved. Since the 2 of them were together, they rarely had the opportunity to be alone. The progress of the 2 of them only stopped at kissing once. Therefore, Chen Mingyan saw that there was an opportunity to be alone with Yang Ming today. Naturally, she didn't want to let it go. But if she just agreed, wouldn't it be too casual? Zhao Sisi had a relationship with Zhang Bin, but what about her? Chen Mingyan hesitated, then she said, that is the male dormitory. Can the dormitory administrator let us in? Yeah, this is the key. When Zhao Sisi heard Chen Mingyan's words, she immediately thought of the key point of the matter and asked hesitantly. Don't worry. Leave it to me. Zhang Bin patted his chest and said. Just watch. Hearing Zhao Sisi and Chen Mingyan's indirect statements, Zhang Bin no longer asked and directly walked in front to lead the way. Uncle Wang, are you watching TV? Zhang Bin walked into the building manager's room casually. Oh. Zhang Bin, what's the matter? The building manager was very familiar with Zhang Bin. This kid often played with Zhao Sisi until early in the morning. He had to trouble Uncle Wang to open the door for him. It's nothing. My girlfriend has no place to stay tonight. She will go upstairs for the night. Do you have any objections? Zhang Bin said as he took out a pack of zhonghua from his pocket and put it on Uncle Wang's table. Students from our school. Why don't they stay in their own dormitory? Uncle Wang asked knowingly. Didn't they just finish the exam today? Their classmates in the dormitory have all left. The girls are scared to live alone. Zhang Bin made up a story. And don't make any trouble. Let's go up. Uncle Wang put the pack of cigarettes into his pocket and nodded. I didn't see anything. I'm a little sleepy. As he said this, he leaned on the table. Oh. Zhang Bin came out of the building manager's room and said with a smile, let's go. Let's go up. What happened to him? Why did he suddenly lie down? Zhao Cixi looked at Uncle Wang in the building manager's room strangely and asked. Who knows? Maybe he's sleepy. Zhang Bin said casually, anyway, let's go up. Is this okay? Chen Mengyan saw Zhang Bin's little action and shook her head helplessly. What's wrong with that? Zhang Bin is very familiar with the building manager. Yang Ming smiled and said, usually, he would send us cigarettes and alcohol. Why does he have so many things to ask the building manager? Chen Mengyan wondered. He usually goes out to play with Zhao Cixi and comes back very late. Sometimes when the dormitory building is closed, he has to trouble Uncle Wang to open the door for him. Yang Ming explained. It turned out to be like this. Chen Mengyan nodded and then whispered, right, is Tian Donghua in your dormitory? He has already gone home. Yang Ming said, don't worry. It's just me and Zhang Bin. The four of us are high school classmates. There is no need to be restrained. And, that's good. Chen Mengyan breathed a sigh of relief. Although she and Tian Donghua knew each other, they weren't too familiar after all. She would definitely be restrained at that time. Now that she heard that Tian Donghua had gone home, she was relieved. Yeah. Chen Mengyan suddenly exclaimed, Yang Ming, I have to go back to the dormitory. What's the matter? Asked Yang Ming. I have to get a coat. I will go out to play tomorrow. It is windy outside. I must wear thicker clothes. Chen Mengyan said, the small cotton coat I am wearing definitely can't keep out the cold, that's right. You ask Zhao Cixi if she wants to go back. Yang Ming nodded and said after listening. Sure enough, when Chen Mengyan said to Zhao Cixi also felt that it was reasonable, so the two of them went back together to get the coat. Yang Ming and Zhang Bin went upstairs first. Anyway, Zhang Bin had already greeted Uncle Wang. They were not afraid that they couldn't come in at that time. Chapter 501. You have to grasp this good opportunity. When they entered the room, Zhang Bin looked at Yang Ming with a smile. What good opportunity? We have to have a good rest tonight. Yang Ming said awkwardly. I won't say more. Grasp it yourself. Zhang Bin handed a box of condoms to Yang Ming. In the evening, Zhang Bin and Yang Ming took a shower, and then let the two girls take a shower. Zhao Cixi agreed readily, but Chen Mengyan was a bit strange and refused to take a shower. What's wrong with you? Yang Ming looked at Chen Mengyan strangely and whispered. Chen Mengyan just shook her head with a red face. Zhang Bin was still watching TV, so Yang Ming didn't ask much. He thought that Chen Mengyan was embarrassed, so he let it go. Anyway, Chen Mengyan's body wasn't dirty. Yang Ming didn't care if she took a shower or not. After Zhao Cixi took a shower, the four people began to pack the luggage for tomorrow. Zhang Bin found a big travel bag left by Tian Donghua and put everything into it. It looked like a big bag, but in fact, there wasn't much left. It all went into their stomachs. Let's sleep. Zhang Bin glanced at Zhao Cixi and then suggested, I think we just finished the exam. Everyone is very tired. Let's rest. It's only 8:00, right? Yang Ming was stunned and looked at the clock in the living room. Cough cough. Zhang Bin kept winking at Yang Ming and said, Yang Ming, aren't you tired? Ugh, tired, a little tired. Yang Ming suddenly understood Zhang Bin's meaning. It turned out that this kid was anxious. Then let's sleep. Zhang Bin was very satisfied with Yang Ming's answer, so he smiled. Then let's sleep. Yang Ming nodded. Zhao Cixi and Chen Mengyan looked at each other helplessly, but Zhao Cixi still stood up and followed Zhang Bin into the room. What about us? Looking at Zhang Bin closing the door, Yang Ming shrugged. I don't know, you two sang the same tune. Chen Mengyan whispered with a red face. Then, why don't we watch TV for a while? Yang Ming was also a bit embarrassed. Chen Mengyan wasn't a fool. She must have seen that he was just acting with Zhang Bin. Okay. Chen Mengyan also felt that it was a bit embarrassing to go to bed with Yang Ming so early. It seemed that it was deliberately to do something. If both of them were sleepy, it would be more comfortable to sleep in the same bed. Yang Ming took the remote control on the table and turned on the TV. Then, he handed the remote control to Chen Mengyan. What do you want to watch? I don't know. Let's just watch. Chen Mengyan took the remote control and casually changed a few channels. She found a variety show and watched it. Because Zhang Bin and Zhao Cixi were already asleep, although she didn't know if they were really asleep or just pretending to be asleep, she didn't dare to turn the TV volume too loud. She was afraid that it would affect their rest. However, soon, the two of them knew what Zhang Bing was doing. In Zhang Bing's room, there was a sudden sound of moaning. It was rhythmic, one after another, although Chen Mengyan pretended that she didn't hear it, she couldn't help but feel her face burning. Yang Ming scolded Zhang Bin in his heart. This kid doesn't know how to avoid the taboo. He can't start doing it right after entering the room, right? However, scolding was just scolding. Zhang Bin couldn't hear it. The sound in the room was getting louder and louder. Chen Mengyan couldn't pretend not to hear it anymore. If she continued to pretend, she would be deaf. Let's go back to the room. This living room isn't soundproof. Yang Ming's heart was also itching. Looking at Chen Mengyan's delicate face, he couldn't help it. Chen Mengyan nodded. Then let's go. Why are you still sitting here? Yang Ming said curiously. You go first. I need to go to the bathroom. Chen Mengyan said with a red face. Then you go. Yang Ming didn't understand. He thought that Chen Mengyan needed to go to the toilet. Yang Ming went into his bedroom first, then quickly tidied up the bed. He took out the box of condoms that Zhang Bin gave him. He took out one and hid it under his bed sheet. Then, he put the rest in the drawer. After doing all this, Yang Ming breathed a sigh of relief. He looked up at the door and saw that Chen Mengyan had just come out of the bathroom. She was hesitantly walking to his room. Yang Ming quickly pretended that nothing happened and turned on his computer. Hey! Yang Ming, you didn't sleep. Chen Mengyan thought that Yang Ming would be anxious to go to bed first. No, I was just looking around. Yang Ming smiled. And, do you want to surf the internet for a while? I'm not too sleepy. Chen Mengyan looked at Yang Ming awkwardly. The bed was neither a single bed nor a double bed. It was definitely not a problem for two people to sleep on it, but two people must sleep together. Okay, do you want to go on QQ? Asked Yang Ming. Open it and take a look. I haven't been online for a long time. Chen Mengyan nodded. She leaned over and entered her QQ number and password on Yang Ming's computer. Then, she clicked on the login button. Because the school's desk was designed to be single, Chen Mengyan had no other place to sit. Sit on my lap. Yang Ming said as he naturally held Chen Mengyan's waist and hugged her. Yeah. Chen Mengyan let out a cry. She obediently sat on Yang Ming's lap. This way, it was much more comfortable to operate the computer. Anyway, she was already sitting on Yang Ming's lap. Chen Mengyan simply adjusted her posture back and forth. She found the most comfortable position to lean on Yang Ming. Chen Mengyan opened QQ and checked a few messages. Most of them were from high school classmates. There were also a few from university classmates. Only one message made Chen Mengyan frown. The message was, "Dear wife, what are you doing?" What made Chen Mengyan frown was that this message wasn't sent by Yang Ming. It was from another person. Who is this? Yang Ming looked at the message on the computer screen and asked. Yang Ming. I have nothing to do with him, really. Chen Mengyan was shocked. She thought that Yang Ming was angry, so she quickly explained. Who is this person? Yang Ming didn't answer but continued to ask. Yang Ming. I really have nothing to do with him. If you don't believe me, I will show you the chat history. He has always been the one talking. Chen Mengyan was anxious. This is my computer. How can there be a chat history? Yang Ming asked faintly. This. Chen Mengyan was also stunned. Then she looked back at Yang Ming with some grievance. You don't believe me. What do you mean I don't believe you? Yang Ming asked deliberately. You don't believe that I have nothing to do with him? Chen Mengyan asked with a pout. Hee, who said that I don't believe you? Didn't you see that he was in the stranger list? Yang Ming suddenly smiled. I am asking you who this person is. Stop it. I thought you were suspecting me. Chen Mengyan rolled her eyes. I was wondering why he could still talk to me even though I had deleted him. It turns out that he was in stranger. That's not right. How can a stranger talk to me? Maybe he used some kind of hacking software to force chat. Yang Ming knew that many websites on the internet had this kind of software download, so he didn't think it was strange. It turned out to be like this. It's really annoying. Chen Mengyan whispered, I thought you were angry just now. How can I be angry? Don't I know your temper? Yang Ming smiled. His hand began to reach into Chen Mengyan's clothes. Don't break my shirt. Chen Mengyan probably did such an inexplicable thing just now, so she didn't stop Yang Ming's behavior. Hee. If you are afraid of breaking it, then just unbutton it. Yang Ming smiled. You haven't said who this person is yet. You have seen him before. It's that Zhou Ruoguang. I don't know how he got my QQ number, then he added me and said some very disgusting things to me. I deleted him, but he can still talk to me. It's really annoying. Chen Mengyan said helplessly. It turned out to be this kid. I think he is asking for a beating. Yang Ming realized that something was wrong after he said it. Chen Mengyan seems to be very opposed to my use of violence, right? If I say this, she won't be angry again, right? However, this time Chen Mengyan wasn't angry. She just sighed. Beat him. Forget it. Let's just ignore him. Okay, I will listen to you. Yang Ming's hand had successfully reached the destination. Aw. Don't move. Chen Mengyan couldn't help but yell. Aren't you going online? What are you doing? Chapter 502. You surf the internet. I didn't do anything. Yang Ming smiled. If you don't behave, take your hand away. Chen Mengyan threatened Yang Ming. Most of Chen Mengyan's QQ were people she knew. They had been sorted into categories, such as junior high school classmates, university classmates, and so on. However, there was also a program called Q80. What is that? Yang Ming looked at the Q80 program curiously. What is it? Chen Mengyan didn't know what Yang Ming was asking about, so she said, "Do you want to take out your hand and point?" Yang Ming smiled. His finger did point a little, but it wasn't on the computer screen, but somewhere else. What are you doing? Chen Mengyan bit her lip and tried not to make a sound. Nothing much. It's just that. What is the Q80 program? Asked Yang Ming. I don't know. Chen Mengyan snorted and didn't answer. Although Yang Ming could see through things, he couldn't see through the pull-down menu on the computer screen. Since Chen Mengyan didn't want to say it, and Yang Ming didn't want to take his hand away, he had to give up. Why is your QQ name still called this? Yang Ming changed the topic. Isn't it because of you? Chen Mengyan rolled her eyes at Yang Ming. Who asked you to make me sad? No. I thought you deliberately changed it to be a couple name similar to mine. Yang Ming smiled. Who has a couple name with you? Chen Mengyan turned her head and glared at Yang Ming. Suddenly, a loud howl came from Zhang Bin's room. Apparently, this kid had entered the sprint stage. Zhao Cici's voice was frighteningly loud. Yang Ming and Chen Mengyan looked at each other stupidly. They were hiding in the room, how could they hear it? Why is this room so soundproof? Yang Ming smiled bitterly. I don't know. Chen Mengyan lowered her head and didn't know what to think. With a beauty in his arms, coupled with Zhao Cici's voice. Yang Ming looked at Chen Mengyan and couldn't hold back anymore. He kissed Chen Mengyan's little mouth hard. Chen Mengyan seemed to know what was about to happen. She closed her eyes and responded to Yang Ming. Unknowingly, the two people fell on the bed. Soon, the two people were left with only underwear. The rest of the clothes were casually thrown on the ground. Can I? Yang Ming asked softly as he held Chen Mengyan, who was breathing heavily. What did you say? Chen Mengyan asked hesitantly. You know. Yang Ming smiled. No. Chen Mengyan gritted her teeth and said. Hee, you have to do it even if you can't. Yang Ming thought that Chen Mengyan was shy, so he didn't bother with her. As he spoke, he reached for Chen Mengyan's lower body. No. I really can't. Yang Ming. Chen Mengyan suddenly reached out and grabbed Yang Ming's hand and said firmly. Ah. Yang Ming was stunned and looked at Chen Mengyan. You don't like it? Chen Mengyan shook her head and looked at Yang Ming apologetically. I'm sorry, Yang Ming. It's not that I don't like it. It's just that I'm not ready. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. Forget it, it's okay, I won't force it. No, Yang Ming, it's not that I'm not ready. In fact, since I was with you, I knew there would be such a day. But Chen Mengyan hesitantly stammered. Then you. Yang Ming was even more baffled. Looking at Chen Mengyan's expression, it didn't seem like she was pretending to be confused. It seemed that she really had some difficulties. I came. It's not over yet. Chen Mengyan had to whisper under Yang Ming's questioning. Actually, I understood your thoughts before. I just went to the bathroom to see if it was over. But I couldn't help it, Yang Ming suddenly understood. It turned out that Chen Mengyan didn't want to take a shower just now because of this. Moreover, she specially went to the bathroom for me. Yang Ming's heart was very touched. He hugged Chen Mengyan tightly and said softly, It's okay, Mengyan. I was too anxious. It doesn't matter, actually, today is already the end. It will definitely be over tomorrow. Don't worry. Chen Mengyan looked at Yang Ming's serious expression. She thought he was disappointed, so she comforted him. Don't worry, Mengyan. I really don't have any other thoughts. Let's just hug and sleep like this. After Yang Ming knew the truth of the matter, he felt more comfortable in his heart. At least Chen Mengyan was prepared for this matter. This was better than anything else. Yang Ming actually didn't like the kind of half-hearted push. He felt that there was more or less a scheming factor in it. It was best to let nature take its course when couples were together. When the feelings were there, other things would naturally follow naturally. How about? If you really want it, then I'll help you. Chen Mengyan didn't know what Yang Ming was thinking. Seeing him quietly looking at the ceiling, she hesitated for a long time before she finally made up her mind and took the initiative to speak. In fact, it was a little difficult for Chen Mengyan to take the initiative to bring it up. Chen Mengyan was a girl with a more arrogant temperament. If Yang Ming had a request, she could accept it, but now, help me. Yang Ming was stunned, but then he understood what Chen Mengyan meant. Just like last time at the cinema. Yes. Chen Mengyan replied softly. Yang Ming's heart, which had already calmed down, suddenly became active again. It couldn't be helped. This time, it was Chen Mengyan who took the initiative to tease him. As the relationship between the two people improved, Chen Mengyan didn't dislike Yang Ming, so she didn't even bother to wash her hands. After she found 2 napkins to wipe them clean, she fell asleep with Yang Ming in her arms. Early the next morning, Chen Mengyan came back from the bathroom and said excitedly to Yang Ming, "It's done. I'm going to take a shower." Yang Ming nodded happily and said, "Then hurry up. Zhang Bin and Zhao Sisi will wake up soon. They're already awake, but they won't come out for a while." Chen Mingyan's face turned red as she pointed to Zhang Bin's room and whispered. Yang Ming immediately understood what Chen Mengyan meant. He smiled and said, "Then you go quickly." Sure enough, as Chen Mengyan expected, the 2 people didn't come out after more than half an hour. When Yang Ming and Chen Mengyan were properly dressed, the 2 came out of the room with sleepy eyes. Zhang Bin was still yawning. "No way." Yang Ming deliberately pretended to be very surprised and said, "It's already 8 o'clock. I remember you slept at 8 o'clock last night, right? It's been 12 hours, and you're still sleepy." Zhang Bin looked at the energetic Yang Ming and Chen Mengyan and wondered, "You 2 went straight to bed? Isn't that nonsense? What else can we do if we don't sleep?" Yang Ming said confidently, "You didn't sleep." "I also slept. Zhang Bin said awkwardly. In fact, he didn't really sleep for more than 3 hours last night. Chen Mengyan covered her mouth and snickered. Zhao Sisi blushed and wanted to find a hole to hide in. When Zhang Bin and Zhao Sisi were ready, it was almost time to leave. Yang Ming looked at his watch and said, "Let's go. I think it's time to go to the cafeteria to have a bowl of porridge." So, the 4 people went downstairs with their luggage. When they passed by the building manager's room, Zhang Bin also greeted Uncle Wang. "Uncle Wang, we are leaving. Please help me take care of the dormitory." "Go ahead, don't worry." Uncle Wang narrowed his eyes and nodded. At 10:05, the bus of the winter camp stopped at the gate of the school. Yang Ming and the others got on the bus. There were 4 other people who got on the bus with them. One of them was a couple, and the remaining 2 boys were the cadre of the student union. There were not many people on the bus. In total, there were more than 20 people, and there were many empty seats. If it weren't for the no-failing condition, the number of people who participated would definitely be more than this. However, this was also good. Because of the restriction, the quality of the winter camp activities was guaranteed. Otherwise, it would be chaotic when there were more people, and it would also increase the chances of conflict between each other. Yang Ming, Zhang Bin, and Chen Mengyan sat at the back of the bus. Then a person who looked like an organizer came over and checked the tickets in their hands. After there was no problem, each person was given a bag of daily necessities.